Good morning, Raptor freaks. Oh, wait a second. Huh? Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Wait, something's wrong. Something ain't right still. Oh, hang on. Ah! Yesterday, I apologize once again for the audio difficulties on the stream yesterday. It was pretty comical. You guys can hear me, right? I get a reading, so I know the mic is working. But yeah, it was stupid, man. Y'all would have loved the crazy rap that Justin Bieber did yesterday on the stream. It was amazing. Oh my gosh, I had no idea that guy had such talent. Fantastic stuff. Mic check, mic check. We all good now? Do. Y'all can hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? All right. Well, I'll add a little bit of the stuff I would have said in the reaction yesterday to the stream today because we're playing the same team, and in some ways, it's a good setup for the preview for today for Miami Heat at Toronto Raptors. Yes, 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 yes. You can hear me. Yes, yes. That was funny, man. That was, you know what? In some ways, I was like, that's what you do when you get lemons handed to you. Make it lemonade. Make it into something fun. And I could have got real frustrated and mad yesterday, but instead I just had fun with it, and it was stupid, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We managed to do the classic card and all a few of the things we normally do, which was good. All right, let me get right into the preview, y'all. Enough silliness is what we should call it. All right, this is our updated injury report for today for Toronto Raptors. Kelly Olynyk will not play for today's game still. Grady Dick will not play today. He will remain sidelined for today's game against Miami. Bruce Brown is still not going to return today. They teased us on the road trip, and they said maybe he'll come back on this game, but he's still not coming back. So he's not playing against Miami today, still not returning. And then Emmanuel Quickly is still not ready to come back also. So those are our four main injuries on the Raptors right now. If I'm speculating the starting lineup, I think they're going to continue to go with Scotty Barnes at point guard, Jacoby Walter at shooting guard, RJ Barrett at small forward, Ochai Agbaji at power forward, and Jakob Poeltl in the center position. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll have to see. That's the great thing about playing a team and then playing them again is that you got a good scout and a good tape on them. And, well, we're coming home. We're going to play here in Toronto today. That may be a better advantage for us. And then also, one thing I want to say yesterday that I couldn't was that the veteranness of the Miami Heat was a huge key in the game on Friday, that Eric Spoelstra is a adjustments wizard. And basically, with the personnel that he's worked with for a while, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, they were able to make adjustments from timeouts and halftime and different places that really were tough for our team to kind of weather the storm as a group because of our young, inexperienced players in some ways. We have to remember this, that, in some ways in the first half of the Friday game, the bad shooting of the Miami Heat kept us in that game while we were causing a lot of turnovers for ourselves that were stupid. And honestly, if we'd played a more ethical game with less turnovers, we might have blown them out in the first half. And then in the third quarter, we could have weathered that a little bit better than what happened, because after halftime, Eric Spoelstra had adjusted their team, and they came out and played a way better basketball game after halftime on Friday night. And that's the thing we have to understand is we're dealing with a coach that's been there for decades. We're dealing with the nucleus that has been together, some of them for at least 5 years. So it's just how it is. And in some ways, in a close game near the end of the game on the road against a veteran, experienced team that's coached by a guy like Eric Spoelstra, it's very, very hard to beat them in the chess match of the end of the game. The chess match at the end of the game is very tough. And if you're not playing perfect, if you're not playing smart, if you're carelessly turning the ball over, you're screwed. You're screwed. It was weird, though, because in the first half, the Raptors scored very, very well, shot a very high percentage, but had a lot of turnovers. And in some ways, that's interesting because what it was meaning was Miami was getting in there and being a shit disturber and causing us to turn the ball over. But when we were open, we mailed the shots. And it's a weird game. It's a weird game. If they had shot better from the beginning of the game, it wouldn't have been much of a game though, because they missed so many shots in the first half on Friday. Looking at the Miami Heat's injuries for today, they do have a couple injuries that are different than what we saw on Friday. Officially, Josh Richardson will not play in today's game due to an illness, so he will not be available today. He didn't really play in the last game. He was on the bench. I did see him there, so he won't be available today. And then also Nikola Jovic will not be available for today. He's been ruled out due to an ankle injury. He didn't play in the other game either, I don't think, hardly at all. Maybe came in for a little bit. I don't think he did, actually, though. I don't remember that. So speculating that they'll start the same players as on Friday. Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Haywood Highsmith, Bam Adebayo, and Duncan Robinson. Yeah. So, yeah, we got to see them. Haskins has not had the best a year so far, but he woke up against us, and he was absolutely a key player in the barrage in the third quarter against the Raptors that helped the Miami Heat overcome us in that game on Friday. Yeah, very interesting player. It was interesting to see Pele Larson out there as far as he was battling with Scott, kind of being an irritant. And Scotty was kind of getting fed up with the European guy in some ways. Terry Rozier, of course, out there for Miami. He's a baller. He's a fighter. He was chipping in his shots. But, yeah, it really was Jimmy who carried the Heat to the victory with his know-how. He was very interesting with how he was playing around Scotty and also just, being a shit disturber. Jimmy is a very, very smart veteran, and he's a con artist, to be honest. He's a con artist. Right at the beginning of the game on Friday night, he had a little 50-50 contact with Scotty Barnes around the screen, and Kugat called it on Scotty. Or no, it was Trey Maddox actually called it. Trey Maddox called it on Scotty, and Scotty flipped out on Trey Maddox, and it was really not smart. This is part of the stuff that you got to understand about the NBA, Scotty Barnes. It's a mental game to an extent, and in some ways you're losing the mental game, and that's a problem. That's a problem because you set us up in a bad position for the rest of the game because you got mad. First of all, you weren't wrong that it's a 50-50 call, and it could go either way. But you got to understand when it's a 50-50 call, it's the referee's discretion on how he wants to call it. And sometimes he can be favorable to one side because he likes the other side, maybe because the other side is more veteran and has a more reputation in the league. And they were like, yeah, we're going to side with Jimmy Butler over Scotty because Jimmy's been in the league for this many years. You got to understand there's a lot that goes into it. And just because your perspective and your side of things tells you that this is such a bullshit call, you cannot freak out and yell at the ref and try and show him up too. It was a really bad look. I tell you, Scotty, that Trey Maddox, when he referees Raptor games, we win a lot of them. He's a friendly ref to us. He's not a jerk. He's not an asshole. And that play was very 50-50. And honestly, the way you acted afterwards to me was embarrassing. I understand you did a little tech at him and kind of got a little crazy, but that was not the right foot to put forth at the beginning of the game with the referees, because in some ways you set a tone. Trey Maddox is a little humiliated, a little upstaged, and in some ways you're not going to get the whistle after that, Scott. So it was really dumb. And because the play was 50-50 and we went over there and Darko challenged it, well, Trey Maddox has all the opportunity in the world to screw us over. Because honestly, you can call that call either way. That way, you can call it either way, and he can go look at it. And if he feels like, well, this young man, Scotty, just showed me up, and I had to give him a technical even, which was really bad because you gave him an extra free throw, and you're also putting yourself in danger that if you get a second technical, you get tossed from the game, Scott. So you need to be stronger mentally. You cannot freak out on the refs within the first 5 minutes of the game, man, because it's very damaging. It's damaging to your reputation with the referees. It's damaging to our team because the referees may be vindictive afterwards. I don't think that Trey Maddox was very vindictive towards you. He was actually the bigger person. The only thing he did vindictively was say challenge unsuccessful. Toronto loses their timeout, and Miami gets the ball. There was a weird take foul that was called that was absolute shite at one point. Maybe that was a little vindictive towards us also. But, yeah, you can't do this, Scott. You can't do this. Pick your battles. And when you do pick your battles, go about it in a more diplomatic way than just freaking out and yelling and getting so animated. I know you care about winning, and I know you care about our team, and I know you all have your heart in the right place. It's just this is a young lesson that you need to figure out and stop doing, because there's a pattern here. There is a pattern here, and it's being detrimental to the Toronto Raptors franchise when you do this, just so you know. It's nobody else going to say it. I'll say it. That Scotty, us not having our challenge for the rest of the game extremely hurt us on Friday night. There were opportunities where there were calls that were absolutely wrong, and Darko would have won the challenge. But he had to gamble and stand on you, side with you, and put the challenge in at that point. But it's so early in the game, and we lose the timeout, we lose the challenge. You get a technical, they shoot a free throw, and it's just stupid. It's just dumb. You've got to grease the wheels in some ways of getting your favor towards you in the NBA. You can't just come at the refs so early in the game like that. It really bugged me. I would have talked about this yesterday, but you saw what happened. You saw what happened on the stream yesterday. Yeah, so there's your injury report right now. Yeah, the Raptors, same guys, and Miami, a couple guys that aren't going to play. Nikola Jovic and Josh Richardson. All right, let's do the referees for today. The crew chief today is the family guy, Kevin Scott. Kevin Scott has reffed a few games, one game this year for us, number 24 in his 14th season out of South Carolina. Kevin Scott likes 48 Hours is his favorite TV show. No, he's not the family guy. Kevin Scott's the country guy from South Carolina. That's right. Family guy is Mark Lindsay. I'm getting them confused. And in some ways, they want us to get them confused. If they're all kind of a little bit like each other, then it's hard to kind of point them out and figure them out. But no, Kevin Scott is the guy with the country accent that does the challenges and sounds like W. Bush. His favorite TV show is 48 Hours. He likes the movie Shawshank Redemption. He listens to Eric Church. His favorite book is Friday Night Lights. He likes to eat cheese pizza. His favorite app is the Weather Channel, and he most like to visit the Great Barrier Reef. African Lion Safari is on his bucket list, and his hidden talent is facial recognition, which I always thought was a weird hidden talent. I've made Guess Who jokes in the past about that kids game, Guess Who. I've also wondered maybe he should be hired by James Dolan to stand in MSG to watch out for any lawyers that James Dolan hates because they're suing him. And if you got this job, maybe we don't need AI in this world because Kevin Scott has facial recognition. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Let's see. Kevin Scott has officiated 715 regular season games and 13 seasons as an NBA staff official. Scott has also worked 46 playoff games, including 2 NBA Finals games. Now, Kevin Scott is not a bad ref for us today, actually. Let's see. We win 55% of our games. We did lose the first game that he ref for us this season. And meanwhile, the Miami Heat win 56%. So it's just a slight edge to the Miami Heat, percentage-wise, winning in the career of Kevin Scott. 55-56 for the Miami Heat. Just barely. Second ref is a ref we have not seen this season yet. Number 72 out of Pomona, California, 14th season, JT Orr. JT Orr's favorite TV show is Come and Knock on My Door. Take a step that is new, where the kisses are hers and his, Three's Company too. Do. Yeah, it's showing his age. I mean, he's just 2 years older than me. I used to love some Three's Company when I was a kid too. Jack Tripper, Chrissy Snow, Janet. Yeah, that was a great show. Mr. Furley. Yeah, we love Three's Company. Three's Company was a wacky hijinks of 2 women living with a man in a house. It was crazy. His favorite movie is Fletch, which is really admirable too. This man's got good taste. He's kind of into 80s and 70s stuff. Obviously, JT Orr is into retro stuff. He likes Three's Company and Fletch, starring Chevy Chase. Although Chevy Chase, and this makes sense in some ways, Chevy Chase was a big Laker fan in Fletch. Yeah, he was. I think he's wearing like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar jersey in the movie, either that or a Magic Johnson jersey. So yeah, in some ways, being a California guy, JT Orr, you can put the linkages there. Not that I'm saying that he gives any extra favor to Lakers. He might. I don't know. Favorite musician is Pearl Jam. No, I'm still alive. Yeah. Favorite book, The Outsiders. That's another classic right there. That movie was something else. Favorite meal, biscuits and gravy. He likes the Maps app. He's favorite he liked to visit Glacier National Park. His bucket list is to start a dog rescue, and his hidden talent is impressionist painting. That's pretty cool. That's kind of like this over here. I mean, there's a little bit of art in JT Orr. I wonder what his art looks like. Maybe you can buy it. Maybe we need to look up JT or art and see if we can purchase any of his pieces. That would be kind of cool. JT Orr has officiated 650 regular season games and one playoff game in 13 seasons as an NBA staff official. He made his playoff debut as an NBA ref in the 2023-24 season, working game one of a first round series between the Pelicans and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah, JT is awesome, man. He's one of my favorite refs in the league, honestly. We win 58% of our games. And meanwhile, the Miami Heat only win 53%. So he favors the Raptors today. 58-53 for the Raptors on the second ref, JT Orr. So, Scotty, don't yell at JT. Don't yell at JT. Don't yell at either one of them. Don't yell at Kevin Scott or JT. You can yell at the third ref if you really want to, because he's kind of a piece of crap. But otherwise, don't yell at Kevin. Don't yell at JT. Those guys are good, decent refs. Kevin Scott may have a country bumpkin accent, but he's a good ref. Trust me, he's a good ref. The third referee is Musa Dagger from Syria, 7th season, number 28. His favorite TV show is America's Got Talent. He likes the movie Coach Carter. He listens to Drake, our global ambassador. Maybe Drake will show up. No, he won't show up for this. We're 5-15, Lex. What are you talking about? Drake's only going to come out there and humiliate himself on camera by talking trash to DeMar DeRozan the Great on our broadcast during a Vince Carter retirement jersey night. That's just uncalled for. So, Drake, if you show up today, I'd be shocked if you're at the game, but maybe you could help because Musa Dagger has stars in his eyes when you're sitting at courtside, just so you know. Favorite book, A Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He likes to eat sushi. His favorite app is YouTube. I'm with you, Musa. I'm totally with you on this, man. I'm totally with you on that. Most like to visit Thailand. His bucket list is to explore Europe with his wife, and his hidden talent is playing the piano. I don't know if that's hidden. If you like go to a piano and you start playing it, well, you've got some talent playing that. That doesn't get hidden then, Musa. If you sit down and tickle the ivories and you have good music coming out, I'm sorry, your talent's not hidden anymore. I don't know. It's like this guy is, what's your hidden talent? Oh, let me show you. Yeah, you know. Musa Dagger has officiated 241 regular season games in 6 seasons as an NBA staff official. Yeah, he's the worst ref for us today. He is one of the worst winning percentages for any of the refs in the league. He's like a top 10 bottom ref for us. We win 36% of our games. We did lose the first game that he refereed this season already for us. And meanwhile, the Miami Heat win 62% of their games. So the split is 36-62 for the Miami Heat on the third ref, Musa Dagger. So, yeah, that's the ref crew. I really, really trust JT Orr. JT Orr is absolutely one of the best referees in the NBA today. Kevin Scott's perfectly fine, too. I used to have a problem with Kevin Scott a couple years ago, but I've seen him really, really call really fair games otherwise for the most part. He may have a danger of doing something funky at the end of the game on a call or something like that. But for the most part, he's really down the line. So not a bad ref crew, honestly. Hopefully the Raptors utilize their home court advantage today, and it becomes a factor. You know, we're starting a 5-game homestand today, where we are playing 5 games in a row at home. And that's fantastic. In fact, we could get 6 games in a row because of the NBA Cup schedule, figuring out the 2 extra games we're going to get. Of course, you know, everybody's lamenting on Friday night. Why the hell did we play on this bright-ass court if we're already eliminated before we even come here? Jack having some very helpful advice for how they can improve the NBA Cup during the telecast on Friday night. I thought he's just dead on with a lot of his ideas as far as just taking a 2-week period in the season and just designating it as the NBA Cup part of the season. The confusion of when NBA Cup games are happening or not, all this kind of stuff, it could make it more of a tournament feel where players get into a certain game mode during that period of time, because bouncing back and forth between just or 82 game regular season game to a special NBA Cup, sometimes it's just lost on the players how it's all happening, plus the fans in some ways. So I think that Jack is really, really smart with some of his suggestions for the NBA on how they should improve the NBA Cup. Very, very much believe what he's saying. The other thing was starting the games at different times on Friday was ridiculous because that noon game on Friday with New York and other games, Atlanta had already eliminated a couple teams, and what was the point? So I think it is true that these NBA Cup games should all start at the same time if they're going to be doing them, because the results of the other games could have huge impacts on what the hell is happening with your NBA Cup game. So, yeah. All right, let's get into the chat, y'all. Thanks for coming back. I'm sorry if I turned anybody off with my muted stream yesterday. It was weird. In some ways, it was art. In some ways, it was art. It was so stupid. In some ways, I really got a kick out of it. I watched it later, and I'm like trying to see if I can understand what I'm trying to say to you guys. And I look like a madman. I absolutely look like a madman. And the part with Justin was just gold, man. I honestly think that the part with Justin yesterday is one of the greatest moments in Raptors Freak history. I'm actually really proud of my puppetry skills on how I did that, man. I really am. I think that my old puppet teachers, I have had puppet teachers, by the way, would be very, very pleased with what I did. I mean, I'm not totally clean with like my puppetry as far as like breaking the illusion that he's a puppet. But I think I did pretty good yesterday, considering everything. It was weird, man. It's a weird one. Trevor's saying, happy game day. Let's go. Protect your house. That's right. Our record at home is 500. And it's actually something we could really improve in the next few days. That's just something. The road has been very unfriendly to our young Raptors. In some ways, we have one road win, and that was against a very lowly Pelicans team last week. It's in a really bad place. It's hard for teams to go into these environments, and this was talked about on the broadcast in the last week, where everybody's against you and feeling all that animosity in the building. It's like a hostile crowd. Away games can be unsettling for young players in the beginning in the NBA because in some ways you may not be used to it. And, you do go against other people's places in college too, but it's a little different in the NBA because there's so many games throughout the season. And this is totally normal for a rebuilding team to struggle on the road. This has always happened in rebuilding teams that I've watched in the past, that there's just a certain period of time where the road is just not a very good winning percentage. And winning on the road is a percentage of coming of age and becoming better and better through the rebuild. So an indicator of the Raptors getting improvement will be bettering our road record in the years to come. Right now, we're starting from the bottom. Now we're here. Okay, Drake? And we got to come up from the top to the top. And one of the indicators will be an improvement on a road record. But for right now, it's going to be what it's going to be. And, I think that we're going to improve on the road as the season goes on. And by the end of the year, we may do very well. Let's see. We're 5-15. That's the first 20 games of the season, and we got 5 victories. Thinking about this before the season, looking at the difficult schedule, understanding the injuries right off the bat, I'll take 5 out of 20, honestly, even though it's not that good. And it projects that we'll be like a 20-win game, 20-win team this year, which is below our win total last year, which I don't want to do still. All I'm saying is Raptors, get 21 more victories at least this season. Some way, somehow. The most difficult 20 games of your season just went through, and you got 5. So in the next 20 games, how about we get 10 out of our next 20 games? Can we go 500 in the next 20 games? Maybe. Emmanuel quickly comes back, and we're full barbecue, and our team is doing better health-wise, and the schedule is a little nicer. Maybe so. This road, this homestand that we're on right now can be very helpful. And I hope that these guys take this homestand to heart and really think what Trevor's saying here. Protect your house. Protect your court. Really take advantage of the home advantage, because the road advantage for the other teams has been very, very much there against the Raptors so far this season. So, yeah, this is one thing. It's like, all right, you guys can't win on the road. Well, you got to take care of your business at home then. And having this many games in a row at home right now is actually a really good stretch for them to work on this and practice. So who knows? I mean, they got 5 games coming up, starting with today. How many of these games? If we get 3 out of these 5, will you be happy? 4, obviously. All 5 of them? Hell yeah. But I would say let's try and get 3 out of the 5 for sure, just so that we have a winning edge in the next 5 home games right now. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah, mic check, mic check. Do 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 do. Pass the mic, Mike D. Yeah, mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Yes, 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 y'all. Yes, yes, y'all. Yes, 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 y'all. Yes, yes, y'all. Yes, yes, y'all. Yes, 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 y'all. That's original Fat Boys right there. Yeah, the audio's back. Wow. I know it was so stupid. You know what I think it was, Nako? The night before my stream yesterday, I fell asleep with my computer on playing YouTube, and it was weird in the morning. It was kind of like it went to sleep and then it didn't reset like it normally does, or whatever it does, and it just was screwy in the morning. Who knows what it was exactly? I troubleshooted and I made sure it would be all right today. Other than the audio, I mean the video for just the beginning. Nako's saying I liked Scotty's shooting. Yeah, he was pretty good in the game on Friday. He was one of my stars of the game. His shooting percentage was quite good. And he was making mostly good decisions. That's my only criticism of him is the way he reacted to the referee in that moment. He really didn't need to do that. Trey Maddox was very much the bigger person in all that. In some ways, he was annoyed with him. You could tell he was lightly angry with Scott because nobody wants to be humiliated or showed up like that. You got to understand, this is a grown man, Scotty. This isn't like so you got to humanize the refs. This is a grown man, and in some ways, he wants everybody wants basic respect. And immaturely going off and taunting him and acting like that is not helping anybody. It's not helpful to you, and in some ways, it just gives them a reason to be biased against you. So don't do this, Scotty. I don't know if anybody is talking to you about this. I hope they are. I hope that Darko has the ability to say, Scotty, you don't need to do this. We'll fight together and we'll talk to them and tell them what they're doing wrong. And we'll do it in a calm way and in a way that will get it across in a way that we can get better with it. In some ways, coming at that guy like that and reacting, well, you lose when you lose control of your emotions, Scott. This is something that warriors know, that the loser in the battle is the one who loses control of their emotions first. You have to stay strong. You have to stay steady. And you can't get disheveled like that. In some ways, it shows a weakness with you. In some ways, people like Jimmy Butler may do things to know because they know you have this. It could be in the scouting report at some point. Scotty Barnes will freak out and get angry at referees for little things like this. And let's try and egg them on. If I'm Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, they maybe know about this with Scotty. And the enemy can utilize this to hurt the Raptors. So, Scott, you got to tighten up mentally. You can't do this. You cannot do this anymore. It's one thing if you do it in your first couple of years of learning in this league, but you're a 4-year player at this point, and you've got to let go of some of your bad habits. I did see you at one point get a breakaway dunk, but you were smart because you heard the footsteps of the Miami Heat coming up behind you, and you didn't do your little tacky turn around and look at people thing. Some people think that's cute and stuff. I think it's horrible. I think it's unfundamentally wrong. It's risky. And you're going to get burned for it at some point if you continue to try and do it. You may be able to do this in middle school when you were a kid, and it's funny and stuff like that because you had so much more talent than all the other kids. But you're in the NBA, man, and everybody who plays in this league is good. And you don't want to show people up just to show people up, do you? Well, I guess you do sometimes because that's part of just your character. Either way, I'm proud of you for not doing the look back on one of the dunks on Friday night where you could have, but it might have ended up with you getting blocked, honestly. It might have ended up like that. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Yeah. Crescom is here. Good to see Crescom. Raps win coming up today. Let's go. Miami just ain't that good. It's interesting. It's not that they're not, what? I don't know how to describe them exactly. They're weird, man. Like they're not getting any younger. We made the jokes a couple of years ago about them being the Miami retirement home, Golden Girls. Thank you for being a friend. But that was more when Lowry was there. And in some ways, that was us kind of making fun of Lowry's age on the Miami Heat. But yeah, they're still older. I mean, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kevin Love. These guys have been in this league for a long time. I know Bam's actually deceivingly younger than he actually is. You think he is just because he's been around for so long. Yeah, but the thing is they're dangerous as long as Spoelstra's the coach. They may not have the best team like they've had in recent years. This is dangerous. But we have to remember this nucleus went to the finals a couple times in the last few years. And that means that they know what they're doing and they have a lot of experience and they know what it takes to win games. That's the difference right there. In some ways, the Raptors don't know what it takes to win games completely as a collective, as a group. But that coach and some of those key veterans on that Miami Heat side do. And that's why when the Raptors play a team like Miami, they need to blow them out early and just keep a good cushion and a lead over them. They have to break them for the game. And in some ways, they could have done that Friday night if they had been more careful with the basketball. They really did have chances. And that game, we were feeling good at halftime. We were up like by a lot. And then the lead shrunk, and then we were only up by 3. Yeah, they had a 15-point swing in the third quarter, and yeah, that was where they didn't turn around. They didn't look back, Miami, and they very much with veteran poise closed out the game. And they had different people show up and do different things at different times, that were very helpful. Jaime, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, even showing up later with some very, very important shots. Miami was going to miss the whole entire game, and they missed a lot in the first half, but in the second half, they didn't. In the second half, they didn't. RJ gave a lot of praise to Eric Spoelstra and Miami after the game in the press conference, saying, we're going against Coach Spoelstra, and he's a genius. And in some ways, he is very, very good at in-game adjustments and changing his team around to help them do the right things. In some ways, we had a hard time keeping up with them switching things around on us. RJ had a lot of admiration for the people on the other side on Friday night. And he said that he really enjoys playing against Miami because of the challenge of their coach and their players. Let's see. Trevor's saying Jacoby looking like he's going to be a very special player, and I like his defense. Yeah. Yeah. In some ways last year with Grady, there would be little parts of the game where Grady would do something, and I'd be like, wow, all right, that's very promising. This kid is special, and he's got certain skills that are going to be very helpful to the team. Well, we're seeing that with Jacoby now. It's very, very interesting. And his build and style of play is different than Grady, obviously. But there are some things that are interesting. Like, I really like how Jacoby is just after it, man. Like, he's after it on defense. He's played some very, very suffocating defense in the first 2 games starting for the Raptors this week. And then, the other thing that I think is very high on my list about Jacoby Walter's scouting report right now that I like is he's not afraid to shoot. He shoots and he goes and he puts up shots with confidence. Whether they go in or not, they're going to start going in more often than not. And the other thing is he's a very good attacker. He's very good at attacking the basket, and he's fearless in that respect also. Yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff. In some ways, this is a great problem to have, because now all of a sudden we have a lot of good players, and there may be some decisions on who's going to get what role as far as starting in the rotation and different things like that. When Grady gets healthy, well, Darko's got some tough decisions to make at that point. I think that you still go with Grady right now. Then Jacoby getting a taste of starting for a little while right now is very helpful and healthy. But let's not get it twisted. Grady Dick is a little bit further along in his NBA career and has more experience in different ways. And those kind of things matter, because we see how the Miami Heat, being veteran and having more experience, will add up to more winning at the end of the game than our younger team that doesn't have as much experience. So in some ways, that's what, if you're thinking in that logical way, Grady Dick is further along than Jacoby. In some ways, he should be starting. But we don't know what Darko's going to do. He has all the power in the world because he's the coach, and maybe the management tells him a little bit what to do. Yeah. Trevor's saying Raptors have to play very strong and very smart with the ball handling. Yeah, I thought that in some ways they did a good job. It's weird. The thing that's annoying me about the Raptors, and especially the beginning of the game on Friday night, is these guys keep throwing the ball into areas on offense where there's too many defenders already in that area. It's like they're playing a play set that they're supposed to play, but while they're doing it, they need to read the concentration of the defenders and where they're habitating on the court at that instance. And sometimes, especially at the beginning of the game on Friday, they're forcing passes into areas where there's 2 or 3 Heat players that are very active and disrupting the pass. And that has happened a lot this year in different places. I wish the Raptors would throw the ball away from the area where the Heat defenders are, is basically what I'm saying. If they're going to concentrate 3 guys in the paint right around Jakob, don't try and entry pass to Jakob, because first of all, he's got to hold guys with his strength off of him to try and catch it. And sometimes we're throwing passes into the post, and the post player has not established positioning in a stable way that they can't be like kind of knocked to the side as the pass is coming in. Then it's a turnover. There's too much of that going on with the Raptors at times. Those are the turnovers that are bugging me right now. Is that in smarts, in vision on the court, you should be recognizing the concentration of where the defenders are positioned and go away from it. Don't go towards where all the defenders are. Throw the ball to the other person that's away from them. If it's O'Shea in the corner, get it to him. Then they all shift, swing it, and go to the other side. Yeah, just go away from the defenders with your passes. I just think that's logically makes sense, but sometimes you just need to say stuff like this. And then the players will be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Scotty, don't throw it towards the player like RJ, who's got like 3 defenders right around him when you pass it to him. It's just not smart. And the other thing is they need to put more zip on their passes at times when they're doing passes around the horn. And there's people that are very dangerous that will jump in the passing lanes, like DeJounte Murray or Terry Rozier. That, they'll be waiting. They'll be watching, and they'll know the scouting report, and they say, oh, yeah, the Raptors going to swing it around the three-point line. Well, I'm going to just jump in there and grab it and get transition and run down the court. If you're going to throw those passes, either put them up high so that people can't grab them out of the air, or zip them around as quick as you can. Because if you half-ass pass and you don't put enough on them, well, that's a steal. And the other team's getting a transition bucket lay-in. Yeah, that's no good. That's no good. No good. No good. Kareem saying, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I got my hearing back. Yeah, I'm a faith healer. You are healed. On a Sunday morning. That's right. Come to me, Kareem. Let me heal you to give you your hearing back. Oh, it's so stupid. Stargate's here. Good to see Stargate. I apologize once again, everybody, for the weird stream that I did yesterday. I'm into Dolly. I'm into Pink Floyd. I'm into surrealism, Eric Andre. And I do enjoy being a little surreal sometimes. And, this channel can be a little surreal at times, and we do what we can. That's right. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Limit turnovers. Yes, number 1 right there. Guard the three-point line, especially the corners. Darko needs to improve a bit on his rotations in relation to who is being productive in real time, aka in-game management. Yeah, if we're going to criticize his rotations, I'll get behind this to an extent, because sometimes, all right, I will give him praise for this. Most often than not, we've either got Barnes or Barrett on the court, and that's been something that in the past I've said to Nick, when we have 2 of our best players, you should have one of them on the court at all times. And Darko's been very good about this. This has been fantastic. In fact, there was a rotation on Friday night where Scotty was out there with 4 rookies and himself, Jacoby, Jonathan, Jameson, and Jamal. And that was kind of a fun lineup, Scotty with the rookies. And it wasn't for too long. It went for a little bit, but it was kind of a cool little lineup. Yeah, I mean, I can get behind this. In some ways, I want to see him reward the hot hand. I want to see him, if something's going well with our offense, like Jakob's doing something, go to it. In some ways, I wish he would not, maybe do something for a little while and then go away from it. In some ways, if it's going real well and they haven't figured out how to beat it, go ahead and keep doing it, is what I say. That's been classic in the NBA, is if you got a mismatch or you got something that's going well, keep going to it. And that's something that sometimes bugs me in some ways. So let's see. Trevor's saying, you missed my first comment. What was your first comment, Trevor? Oh, sometimes the bad times in life you put on the path to the very best times in life. There you go. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I missed your words of wisdom. I'm sorry. I've officially left X. I've deactivated my account, so there will be no more Leo life tips until he migrates over to Blue Skies. and then I will do the Leo's life tips once again. So Leo, you're clear, man. I'm not gonna be reading your stuff anymore because I've left X. Fuck that site, and I've deactivated my account. In some ways, I'm willing to take the chance because I've got Lewinberg and Murphy on Blue Skies, and that's all I need to know what's going on with the Raptors in an educated way. It's just I need a couple of them. Michael Grange, maybe two, a little bit of him too, and then I'll know what I need to know. And that's enough. I don't need all the other extra crap that Elon is curating on his algorithm. No, I don't. No, I don't. Kareem saying we have 7 straight home games. I don't know if it's 7. That's not true. Kareem, there's 2 games that they're going to add in the middle there. There's a week where there's nothing. And there's going to probably be 1 home game and 1 road game when they add those 2 games. So there will be one more road game added in those 2 NBA Cup season champion week schedule right around them. When they're playing for the NBA Cup finals, we will have 2 games that are just regular season that were added to our schedule. And hopefully they'll be against nice opponents, Eastern opponents that are kind of easier to play. So we'll have to see. This is the time to start putting all the pieces to the puzzle. Also, out of the 24 games in December, 16 of them are at home. This is a month of Christ in the Raptors. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we got to capitalize on this. We got to make sure that we really do get a very good amount of wins in the month of December, because the road has not been kind to us at all. It has really not been, and we've got to really understand that the home games are ones where we have an opportunity and ability to defend our court, and that's what we're going to do. Hopefully, we'll see that. Stargate saying, actually, Kareem, Jesus was born in August. According to chronological dating within the Bible itself. But I digress. Well, in some ways, I don't want to get too involved in debates on theology or even, Christmas or even it's Sunday. I've always thought that it was Christmas, but this is interesting news from Stargate. He's born in August. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Kareem saying we are bigger and stronger than Miami. The Heat caught fire with their threes. I can't imagine them being an NBA Jam hot again. I don't know. Anything's possible. They could actually shoot better this game than they did on Friday, because in some ways they were not shooting well for the first half of the game. They really only shot well in the second half of the game. And who knows? They may shoot well for all 4 quarters. They may not shoot well for all 4 quarters also. We're just going to have to see how it is. In some ways, our defensive pressure helps them not to shoot very well. But yeah, they're a tough team regardless. As long as Spoelstra's coaching them and they have players like Jimmy and Bam, they're a difficult team to play. That's just how it is. I mean, they'll be at the end of the playoffs, possibly one of the bottom seeds, but they'll still be a playoff team. For sure. I'm pretty sure this team's not going to fall out of the play-in or anything like that with Miami. They're just there's too much experience and too much grittiness to try and win. Jimmy was really a con artist last game. He really, really was good at baiting things and causing fouls on people and just kind of being very slick in kind of secret agent NBA ways on the court on Friday night. If you pay really close attention to Jimmy Butler, you'll see the grizzled vet knowledge that he utilizes on having an advantage, and especially against a younger nucleus like ours. There was a lot of that happening in the game where he outvetted us. Seriously, he outvetted us on Friday night in some ways. Yeah, let's keep going. Nameless saying the last game, Darko got the phone call during halftime to remind him of the motive and most likely threaten his job security if he didn't throw that game. I won't get behind this. I still don't believe this tank stuff. I think the Raptors are playing to their fullest potential and abilities, and they're just having this happen. I think that people are wrong when they think that we're doing this on purpose. I think that it doesn't serve us any good if we do. And I think you're exactly not right. You're not right with this. There's been fishy a little bit because the games have been very close and battles. But once again, this is the symptom of a rebuilding young team that doesn't know how to close out games. The fact that we've been competitive with top teams and, there's different levels to rebuild. I'll tell y'all the very beginning basic part of a rebuild is no chemistry. Guys are completely apart and they're really struggling. Like in some ways, the Pelicans are that stage from last week. They're not very talented. Because they're hurt. They're hurt a lot, and guys are not connecting, and they have no synergy. That's the very first step of a rebuild. It's orientation. They say, hi, we're teammates. We have to learn how to play with each other. Well, we're past that stage with the Raptors. That's for sure. So in some ways, we're a couple of stages into the rebuild and a little ahead. It could be that some people are stuck in the Pelican stage for like the whole entire year. And then the next year, they show more team chemistry with each other. Well, Darko's got these guys playing together on both ends of the court in a really, really positive way already. So in some ways, that's a couple of steps into the rebuild of getting the team right back to winning than just what I just described. Then not only do you have to be able to compete with top teams, you have to be able to close the game out to win. And it's knowledge, it's practice, and it's learning. And in some ways, you got to fail to learn. And, I'm really actually very happy with where we are in the rebuild because we are advanced in it. Don't get it twisted. The way we've competed with teams like taking Boston to overtime, that's the champs. And we did it on their home court. We're not supposed to do shit like that in the first year of a rebuild. We're supposed to get blown out by 30. And that's not happening. So we are a little bit ahead in this rebuild of more than people actually think. And it's an educated eye that is paying attention and understands basketball and how you rebuild a franchise that will see this. That's why Leo and Jack and everybody on the broadcast is saying they're doing a great job, even if they're 5-15. That'll be some of the indicators is, all right, winning on the road and also closing out close games against other teams and stealing the victory from them. Think about Detroit in the game we played against them last week where Jaden Ivey beat us at a buzzer beater. They've been a team that's been getting blown out and not even having any chance to win like last year, where they had one of the worst records in the NBA's history. And this year, they've gotten to a new level of rebuild with the new coach, JB Bickerstaff, where they have a talented young player that just rose up and hit a game winner to beat us. We want to get to that stage next where we have people like Scotty, RJ, Grady, Emmanuel, hitting game winners for us, because that'll be another sign that we've gotten a little further in our rebuild, because that's a really good sign for Detroit, isn't it? Considering where they've been rebuilding towards in the last 5 years, all of a sudden now one of their young players is hitting a game winner against a team and winning a game at the last second. So we've got to understand it's just like a butterfly in a cocoon. We've got to go through all the metamorphosis stages, and the indicators of our progress will be there. And like I said, in some ways, in a rebuild, when you start a rebuild, you're supposed to be getting blown out by 30 every night. Seriously, you're supposed to be getting blown out by 30. It was like, all right, we'll get better. Let's start getting blown out just by 20. Okay, we're getting better. Let's just start getting blown out by 10. Oh, we're getting better. But this has not happened to us. We're not getting blown out by teams. We're competing and we're bringing it to them, just if not educated enough to close it out and win the games. But that comes through the rebuild over time. And that's what I'm looking forward to, man. That's what I want to say right there. So I think we're losing, not on purpose. We're losing naturally because of what I just described. And it's nothing to do with, Darko caught a call at halftime. He's like, hey, Darko, listen, it's Masai. I'm telling you, I really don't want you to win. No, he's not doing that. Why would he do that? That's loser. That's a loser mentality, and that's the stuff they do in Philadelphia. That's what they do there. Daryl Morey may be calling Nick Nurse, Nick, I told you, you started so bad. Now I don't want you to win. Something like that, man. Kareem saying, Stargate, please enlighten me. Not on the stream, of course. Either way, I don't want to get into this. I would say every day is Jesus' birthday, right? How about that? Jesus is so great and so important, and he means so much to so many people around there. Let's make every day Jesus' birthday. It doesn't have to be Christmas. It doesn't have to be August. It's Jesus' birthday today on a new moon in December 1st. That's right. No snow outside yet. They were telling me there might be snow here today, but I have not seen any snow up here in my neck of the woods, my literal neck of the woods. There is woods out there. All right, let's keep going. Nameless saying, Darko definitely started pulling punches after the first half, 100%. No, it was more that Miami woke up, man. Eric Spoelstra had a halftime talk with his players and said, y'all need to shoot better. He saw exactly what was going on in the first half. He made adjustments. He knew the recipe to get them back on track. and he taught them and he told them, and because they're a veteran crew that has a lot of experience, the coach tells them certain things. He's like, "Oh yeah, we'll do this, coach," and they execute it. That's pure and simply that. It's RJ said it himself in the interview after. He's like, Coach Bolstra had a really good halftime where he made adjustments and they came out different team in the second half. Yeah. I'm not gonna portray or go along with you on your narrative here. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Sorry, nameless. My paisano. My paisano. I will not do this, man. Cream saying Stargate. Oh, wait, I already read that. Infamous is saying salute, freaks. The Raptors should win this game today based off the revenge factor. Hard to beat a team twice, especially on their home court. I like this reasoning, and this actually makes a lot of sense. It is hard to beat a team twice in a row. In some ways, hopefully Darko is using the tape from Friday to make adjustments like Spoelstra did at halftime. And we'll see a somewhat new game plan to utilize against the Miami Heat and some of the things they saw. And hopefully we have a better result. Home crowd, JT Orr. Yeah, these are good things for the Raptors to have an environment to cultivate a W at home today. In some ways, the competitiveness of our young guys is like, they beat us on Friday. Let's get them back. Let's see how motivated they are and how much they learned in the couple of days since the game on Friday night. This is a fantastic way to see how well we're doing as far as our coaches, and also how well our players are learning and adjusting to NBA life and utilizing information to do a better job, getting a second chance against this very same team right in a row. Yeah, I like it. I like our chances too, Infamous, because we're home, and that is really going to help. Our home crowd is a big boost to our players. It feeds confidence to them. So your field goal percentage on the road goes down because in some ways you don't understand. There's almost 20,000 people in that building that are wishing you to miss. There's a lot of that energy in those kind of buildings where they're going jinx and making noises, trying to mess them up, maybe yelling things at them. There's a lot of energy in the air on home at away games that is not for you. And they even talked about it on the broadcast a little bit how Kyle Lowry used to handle that as a Raptor. He loved being the villain, and he loved coming out there, and he loved shutting the crowd up. In some ways, we got to develop some of our young players into that mentality. And then, boom, you have a guy who's so badass, he can shut up a home crowd on the road. That's awesome. That's awesome. We'll get there. These are indicators of progress in a rebuild. And we will see these things like a Jaden Ivey buzzer beater shot like that against us. We'll see that on our side at some point. And we'll be like, oh, yeah, this is awesome. I can see where we're on the rebuild now. This is how our progress is shown right there. Yeah, let's see. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Stargate saying you can't teach defense. That's a natural thing. And Jacoby has it. Wait till he gets to the speed of the game. I think he's very promising on both ends. I got to remember when I first heard about Jacoby Walter. It was before we drafted him. I heard about Jacoby a couple years ago, and it was like in Slam magazine. And they were talking about how he's like this kind of this and this and this. And he's a baller. He's a dude that plays the game the right way as far as intensity and athleticism in the package with him, and that he has a really big, bright future. And then when the Raptors took him because he fell in the draft, which was weird, man, because Jacoby was projected to be a top 10 pick, and we got him at 19, which is absolutely a steal. People are going to look at that and say, holy crap, they got that dude at 19. It'll be similar to Siakam. Watch. I don't know if he'll be as good as Siakam, but the potential is there. That's the crazy thing. I want to see Jacoby flourish and grow and continue to show exactly who he is on the NBA court. And we'll see more of that today, I'm sure. That's right. I'm all about it, man. Yeah, you can't teach hustle, and you can't teach the will to go and play tough defense. And we have a lot of those guys on our team right now. Davion Mitchell, Jamal Shed, Jacoby Walter, Oshai Abaji. That is not a fun backcourt of people to try and bring the ball up the court against. Let's just put it that way. Jacoby's got a crazy wingspan, and he has very strong hands on the down low. And he is just as annoying as Mitchell and Shed in the point of attack defense. You can see it. You can see it out there. He's doing the same thing as they are and just reinforcing that. Grady, too, when he's out there, too. He's the same thing. Nako's saying, I think Grady has the higher ceiling, but I can see a reality where Jacoby is more complete. It's because in some ways Jacoby is one of these guys that can attack the rim and do it in certain like athletic ways. Like we saw a little bit of a flip layup from behind the basket, assist from Scotty, that showed a lot of like baller mentality as far as knowing where the hoop is and knowing the English, knowing the kind of thing you got to do to put the ball through the hoop. And in some ways, he's got this kind of stuff. It's the kind of stuff that people like Lou Williams has. This kind of stuff that Jamal Crawford has. That's what I'm talking about. There's that kind of stuff in Jacoby Walter. And that's what I'm very curious to find out more about. Like, what are the potentials for him with his scoring? How high can he score on average consistently? We'll have to see. This is great fun to go in the journey and watch and see. I think that he is a lot better chance, and from what I've seen in the last two games, than I thought last week on the potential what. And in some ways, we got to Nako once again. We can't compare these guys directly. There's everybody's going to feast and get their own in their own player build and do what they're going to do. But in some ways, to compare Jacoby Walter to Grady Dick is apples to oranges, and it's not worth it. It really isn't. In some ways, we're not competing with each other. We're competing with ourselves, and we're competing as a collective team against the other team. That's where we compete. That's where we compete. Nameless saying impersonation request. All right, Bobby calling Darko during halftime to start losing the game against Miami. I did kind of do the Masai one already, but we'll do Bobby real quick. Hi, Darko. Yeah. Yeah, great job, man. You guys are doing great this first half. Actually, I'm really, really happy with Jacoby. He's doing fantastic. But remember, what do you mean? No, 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 no. I'm not calling you to tell you to lose. No, no, I wouldn't do that. What? No, don't get mad at me. Listen. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize, Darko. All right, I understand. I understand. All right. I understand. I will never ever call you at halftime and do this again. I understand. You're a coach of integrity, and you are really trying to win as best as you can. All right, I apologize. I'll never do this again. I'm gonna tell the nameless guy to tell me to stop telling you to call you. Okay, bye. I mean, seriously, I believe Darko, man, a man of his word. In some ways, honesty and integrity is an important value and characteristic in the person that's named Darko Rajakovic. So why would he be a walking lie? A person that is coming to the interviews and saying, we are trying our hardest. We are going to try and win. We're going to try our best to win. Why would he be in the charade that you're describing, Nameless? It just doesn't go in the DNA of a coach that has to get to this level to compete to this level. It just doesn't. I've said this on the stream in the past week. Maybe the front office on the down low has a self-tank plan, but that's maybe just a plan of like, well, if we're so bad, Bobby, why don't we just try and get a top pick then? Yeah, Masai, we'll do that if that's the way it is, but otherwise we should, continue to try and win. This is the way we are. You got to stop. You got to stop perpetuating the tank bullshit. Honestly, there's enough people around Raptors Nation and the fan nation perpetuating this bullshit. But we can be honest about it. Our team is trying to win. We don't know how to win close games because we don't have the experience. That's it. That's as simple as that. So in some ways, you become a lottery team in the draft because your team's so young and doesn't understand how to win. And that's natural. And it doesn't take any pulling of punches or submarining your team on the down low behind closed doors. No, it doesn't. The NBA is a tough league. It's hard to win when you're trying. So it's anyways not trying and then losing is just asinine and stupid. And you get a culture like the Sixers do when you do that. I'll say that over and over and over again, over and over again. Stargate saying Nameless, I agree. The second half was a bit weird with who he allowed to play and whom he didn't. Yeah, I mean, that may be what you're alluding to as far as the rotation, the questions about rotations and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, I think that the more the way that we shape whether we're trying to win or not is sometimes the injury list. I think that has some of the biggest implications. If we're full strength and we're out there kicking total ass with IQ and Kelly and Bruce and everybody available, it's a totally different story. So some of these guys sitting a little longer, like Bruce has sat a little bit longer than I thought he would. That could be part of how they manipulate things a little bit, but I wouldn't say. And I mean, I guess what y'all are saying was like with, it's just you don't want to practice bad habits because bad habits become bad culture, And you just don't want to do that. You want to continue to practice all the best habits and winning culture. And we're not doing that. We're not doing that right now. So I can't agree with you guys. I'm sorry. Let's see. Nameless is saying it was not Enter the Dragon, it was Enter the Rookies. Well, I mean, in some ways, this could be visualized as what y'all are saying, that it's a stealth tank uh, strategy by playing the rookies in such heavy minutes in crucial times. Sure. But in some ways, that's part of developing young guys, is putting them out there in the deep end and letting them try and swim for themselves in these kind of situations. And maybe right now, it's very difficult beginning period because they're so green and they are really not knowledgeable in deep ways on NBA life and stuff because they just don't have the time yet. I mean, I guess you can make that case that if you play certain lineups, so the rotational part I'll kind of get behind, but I'm not going to get behind the whole idea that we're trying to lose on purpose, y'all. I'm not going to do that. Nako's saying Scottie Pippen posted Elon in a Bulls jersey. I don't give a shit about this. Let's not talk about Elon. How about that, Nako? I've already decided I'm going to ignore fuckface, the new president, as much as I can this whole entire 4 years. I live in Canada. I live in the woods. I don't need to pay attention to him. In some ways, if y'all value me informing you about things with U.S. politics, don't expect me to do it anymore because I'm just giving up. I don't give a shit. In some ways, the U.S. is going to be the U.S. Go ahead and be the U.S. But in some ways, I think I might ban that word that you just put in there and also Trump. And we're not going to bring them up anymore. As far as I'm concerned, the U.S. is dead to me. How about that, Gerald? And don't bring up Elon's name if we don't need to. All right. Fuck Elon Musk. I've left X and I don't need to talk about him anymore because in my world, he's not important. In some ways, that's the part of this malignant narcissist is they want to make everybody in the world feel like they're so important and that they have an effect. Well, part of the way to resist is I don't have anything to do with them and I don't live in their country and I don't fucking acknowledge them. And that's what I'm going to start doing. So don't bring him in here anymore. Seriously. Don't bring him in. I don't give a shit if Scottie Pippen did that. Trevor's saying we need to make it hard for Jimmy Butler today. Put the pressure on him. Yeah, I mean, he's old. And in some ways, this was a problem with what happened on Friday night. Jacoby got the halftime interview, which was rightfully so, and he was very upbeat and stuff, but he said something he shouldn't have said. He said, oh, we're doing so well because they're older and we're young and we can run around and do more on the court. We have more energy. Don't do that, man. Don't poke the bear. Don't give Jimmy a reason to want to kick your ass because you called him old and because y'all are all younger, you can outrun them. Yeah, well, you may have more energy and you may have more ability to get around than they do because they're older, but they're wiser. And in some ways, they'll execute like a surgeon precisely on exactly the amount of energy they have to expend to beat y'all. So, yeah, I hated that when he did that. You shouldn't have done that, Jacoby. Don't say shit like that. That's bulletin board fodder. And you didn't need to do that. That was unnecessary. And if they heard that, well, I don't think they did. They might have, though. That's not the way to you don't want to motivate the other side just because you gave them fuel a little bit by burning them like that. Is what I say right there. Yeah. Yeah, Jimmy's older. Make him run. I believe this, Trevor. That's a great strategy. Run Miami Heat, old ass players, run them off the court by being out energying them. That was part of the reason why we won the first half on Friday. And if we can do that for most of the game today, we can beat them. If we can do that, we got to make those old guys work their joints. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. Infamous saying, I strongly recommend to not use Blue Sky. The data mine they data mine your information and use your info in a strange way. Who doesn't, though, Infamous? You don't think Facebook's doing this? You don't think X is doing this, Twitter, or whatever the fuck? They're all doing this. Instagram. I trust Blue Sky more than any of the other ones, and it's not like I'm putting much data into it. I don't think I've made a post. I go on there and I look at what people are posting on there, but I'm not going to be afraid of this. In fact, this could be a statement that was put out by people from X to put out and make people not want to migrate to it. I'm not going to believe this shit. Well, I don't believe this because honestly, they all do it. And if you think that I'm wrong, you're kidding yourself. So if you, by that logic, get off Facebook, get off Twitter. Yeah, at least I know in some ways this isn't Elon Musk. I mean, I didn't post anything on X. I stopped posting on Twitter when he bought it. I don't give them any data or information other than me clicking on looking at things. And I don't even like anything on there. I barely ever commented, and I didn't give them very much data. So Blue Sky will probably be the same damn thing. I'll just be on there as a silent observer, watching, not contributing anything as far as posts, and barely ever engaging as far as likes or comments. So I'm not worried about this. And I honestly don't think you should propose this, because the migration away from X, Twitter, is good. And it's good in a lot of ways. And there's no reason to perpetuate probably bullshit that's coming from that side to stop people from going there. They're all the same. They're going to all data mine you. So yeah, it's a ridiculous statement in some ways. Nameless is saying you can really see the stark contrast between the development coaching of Darko versus the win at all cost style of Nick. Yeah, I mean that's fair to say. That's fair to say. I mean, in some ways, look, I'm not going to say that Darko doesn't have a win at all costs kind of mentality, but he's not able to utilize it right now because his team hasn't been healthy, and in some ways, his team is very young. But when we get to a point, hopefully, with Darko still as a coach, where we are more smart and veteran, and we are in these situations, I want to see a cutthroatness like Nick Nurse and Darko, and I think it's there. I think it's there. We've got to understand he's coached a long time. He's in his mid 40s. He's been coaching since he was a teenager. So that's like 30 years of coaching at different levels for Darko. And some of his career was in a Spanish league where he's competing at a very high level in a very cutthroat league. And this stuff was there, just so you know. A lot of casuals think Darko's just this guy who just showed up. He's only an assistant coach. They have no idea the whole entire career of Darko Rajakovic and how he's been a superstar in the eyes of the coaching world for about 20 years, honestly. There's a reason why Popovich tapped him on the shoulder and said, I want you to be my European contact and coach scouting here on this continent for the Spurs. And that's really what his first NBA job was. Greg Popovich hiring him in the mid 2000s to work with the Spurs. And Darko's been around the NBA ever since. So anybody who thinks that Darko's just some Johnny come lately, he's not a head coach. You don't understand his career. It started coaching Serbian children, and it quickly went successful to the point where he was coaching the highest league in Spain to come over here to the biggest league in the world, the NBA. And he went through the ranks of coaching a G League team for a long time before he got the reins of a regular NBA team. And he earned his spot. Everybody who thinks that Darko is a weird, just out of the blue kind of hire, you're just not an educated person in the know about the coaching world in the NBA. Darko Rajakovic has been a coaching nominee and candidate for many coaching jobs for like the last 10 years, y'all. It's not, he finally got his opportunity with us. He's been waiting. He's been waiting for a while. He's been in a lot of coaching interviews for a lot of different jobs, and he finally got his spot. That's what, that casuals won't know all that. They'll only see the tip of the iceberg. They don't understand how much is underneath the water as far as where he comes from, is what I'm saying. So he's had modes in his career where he's been on win all costs in the Spanish league. I'm going to tell you that right now. He has championships to show it. Smooth saying Raptors are trying to win, man. They just don't know how to. Exactly. Smooth is saying succinctly very much what I've been trying to tell y'all in the last half hour. That's right. They was saying in retrospect, we should have fired Nick sooner. I don't know if we do that because honestly, it all happened exactly in the order it had to happen. I mean, I didn't know at the beginning of that year that Nick was compromised by Daryl Morey. The evidence of it all didn't reveal itself until like really the second half of the season that year after Christmas. And partly it had to do with the crazy weird thing with Earl Watson and him getting suspended for a game, not being able to be with the team. There was something weird that happened with the coaches. I'm speculating it was Bjorngren and Watson that had a battle, and then things didn't really get fixed or resolved, and it was just uncomfortable. And in some ways, Nick, because he wanted it to be like that and chaotic because he wanted to leave, he didn't try and fix it through that whole time. He didn't, as the head coach, try to circle the wagons and get everybody on the same page and work the conflict out. He allowed it to just kind of hang around and just hang over the team. And it wasn't even the players. That's a crazy thing. In these kind of situations, you think, oh, it's a problem with Fred and Scott. There's a problem with these two players. They're not getting along. No, it was a problem with the coaches. There were coaches on the team under Nick that did not get along. And that was never resolved. And the weirdness around the team, as described by Chris Boucher, was derived from that. In some ways, I would have been like, yeah, fire him. No, because I still thought of him as our Spoelstra Popovich for half of that season, and him getting fired at the end of that season. Well, that's it right there. Trevor's saying, smooth. The new bloodline got dismantled by the old bloodline. Well, I could have predicted that. I could have predicted that. I mean, who's on the old bloodline? The Rock, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. You think those three guys are going to lose to those young jabronis? No, they're not. No, they're not. Of course, the old bloodline won at Survivor Series. Of course, that totally just makes sense to me. I mean, you got to book it that way. It's The Rock, man. It's The Rock. And not only that, it's Roman Reigns. Come on now. Those two very important there. Stargate saying Blue Sky is worse than X. Laugh out loud. What do you mean? As far as content? Yeah, it's just starting out and building. But either way, I don't care. I mean, let's not poo-poo something that's new, that's an alternative to a fascist. Let's not do this. If you have nothing nice to say about Blue Sky, maybe not say anything at all. How about that? And I'll utilize it in my way that I want to without hardly using it. But seriously, we're not here to perpetuate information for sides that may be nefarious. And in some ways, you pushing this. Why are you helping? You're squashing David while you're helping Goliath. So Stargate, we don't do this. All right. In some ways, I'd rather you just hold your tongue than put that in there. And data mining is happening with all the apps. Let's not get it twisted. They're all doing it. So don't even give me that crap. That's just some bullshit they're saying. Nako's saying developing winning isn't necessarily tanking or winning. Developing good prospects and making good value moves is how you rebuild. I'm trying to understand what you're saying. Not to take away from Darko, but Spo is the better coach. That's unnecessary to say too, all right? That's totally unnecessary to say. I'm going to break this all down. Nako, sometimes I got to tell you, man, you're in over your head and what you think you know about basketball to a degree. I love you, man. I know you for a long time, and I know how recent you became a basketball fan. In some ways, you have opinions that are not educated on this. And I don't mean to denigrate you, but this is just the damn truth. All right, let me just say this. Developing winning isn't necessarily tanking or winning. Listen, to win, you have to lose first. Jonas has said this in the last couple of years. It's just the damn truth. You don't come in unless you're a very, very special player that has ultra supreme talents and have a winning effect. Tim Duncan had one of those. David Robinson had one of those. Victor did not, which is interesting. People like Michael Jordan did not have this. LeBron James did not have this. LeBron showed up to Cleveland, and the Cleveland Cavaliers lost for a lot of his first few years. Michael Jordan, same thing on the Bulls in the mid-'80s. The Bulls were not a playoff team when Michael was a rookie, and he did not have an instant impact on this. So every single player in this whole entire league's history has had to mostly go through losing before getting there. Now, like I said, there's exceptions to the rule as far as Tim Duncan and David Robinson may be the best two examples. But one player coming to a team out of the draft is not have these crazy impacts of making a team win. There's always a learning curve, and they have to learn. They have to learn. That's part of it right there. Developing good prospects and making good value moves is how you rebuild. Well, I mean, you can rebuild in a lot of different ways. You don't have to do it exactly that way. Sure, you can do it through trades. You can do it through the draft. You can do it through developing your current players that you already have. I mean, that just makes sense. And he said, this part, there's no reason to say this about Darko and Spoelstra. Spoelstra's been coaching for almost 20 years in the NBA. And Darko has been coaching. He's in his second year. As far as you can say they're better coach than him, you don't know that's for sure. I mean, reality-wise, yes. Eric Spoelstra is probably the best damn coach in the league right now. Seriously. But why do you have to put him down? You're a Raptors freak. And in some ways, that's not necessary to say this. There's always already people being critical of Darko in very unrealistic and unfair ways. And, pointing out, well, Spoelstra's a better coach than Darko. Well, duh, because he's been in the league for 20 years, and this is not necessary to bring up. It's not good comment, man. Let's see. Shirkan saying, hang on. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. The Cowboy is back. Yeah, Bruce Brown. Bruce, looking forward to playing today. So they're saying he's going to play now? They said earlier that he's not. All right, let me check this. Has this changed? Are you bringing me breaking news or something? No, they're saying he's still going to remain sidelined today. Are you positive about this, Shirkan? Where did you hear this? Let me go look on Blue Skies. I'll go look at Blake Murphy, because Blake Murphy is my guy, and he could tell me if this is true. I don't see it. I don't see it. His last thing that he said is they're all remaining out for today. So Shirkan, I don't know if that's true, unless you saw something new. Something new. Not sure what's going on with KO and IQ. This team is sleeper spoiler team with their ability to beat any team at any given night. Beware. Yeah, I mean, Kelly's back injury is bugging me. It's really, really bugging me. I wish that he would get healthy, but since he's not healthy, let's go ahead and look at the Instagram stories and see what Kelly's been up to. Actually, it's very interesting. Davion Mitchell has got some old clip he's showing. He went and bought like a 7-layer coat because he knew he's coming back to Toronto from Miami, and he got like a 7-layer coat. He says it's all one coat. It's a crazy coat. It's got like different colors and it's like layers. Dude, you'll be fine in that coat, man. It's actually not that bad up here right now. It is right around freezing, but I think you guys will be fine. Just stay inside in the heat and you guys will be fine. It looks pretty outside, even though it's cold. And honestly, we'll see if we get snow today. We'll see if we do. Lloyd, I think, made music, y'all. What about Lloyd, one of Scotty's best friends? I think he's making music on SoundCloud. So maybe y'all need to support Lloyd and check out his music. Looks like Shamshay is celebrating a guy who plays for the Florida Gators, Ruben. Not sure who that player is, but he's a friend of Oris Shamshay. Chris Boucher is showing himself coming out of the hotel in Miami this weekend. And there he is with there's Hood Christmas carols. He's got on there where these guys are doing Hood Christmas carols and like carpool karaoke. Miles Burns posting some of his highlights on there, and he's he's just trying to make the best of his career and trying to get to the NBA. You keep striving and achieving, Miles. You'll get there hopefully someday. Battle's got some sort of friend on blast on here for the Liberty. Isaiah, somebody, I don't know who that is. Let's see. Raptors are celebrating Dream Big Clinic. It's part of Giants of Africa. Very, very cool. Looks like they had an event recently here in Toronto. And they had, or maybe this is in Africa. I'm not totally sure. But yeah, there's young women that are doing basketball drills. It could be here. It could be over there. I'm not totally sure. Actually, I think that does say it's in Africa. Not totally sure. There's a photo shoot with Masai Ujiri, getting their pictures taken with them, the young ladies participating. And a shout out to Kia Nurse for stopping by and giving back at the Giants of Africa event this weekend. Good stuff. WNBA Toronto president Teresa Resch is celebrating the PWHL, starting their season. The Toronto Scepters showing the highlights of the young women that are going to be playing for that team. And I think she went to the game. Teresa Resch at the game with the players, excited for the season. So the WNBA supporting the PWHL, and one hand washes the other. Very, very nice to see women's sports getting more and more growth. And yeah, they want to take care of each other, sister teams in some ways for Toronto. Siakam signing a bunch of cards and jerseys and autographs for fans in Indiana. That's about it. Also on Kelly Olynyk Instagram page, he went and did a make a wish for a kid who beat leukemia. They went to Jack Astor's and they had a fantastic, nice meal. And he got to meet Kelly Olynyk. So Kelly Olynyk making a Make-A-Wish kid's dream come true and coming in and sitting down and having a nice meal with him and talking with him, getting a time with an NBA player. That's fantastic. I love seeing stuff like that. Kelly Olynyk, you're a badass. And, well, I wish you'd get out on the court. But if you're not going to be out there, at least you're making dreams come true. I love that. I love that so much, man. It's so good. Yeah, let's see. Smooth saying WWE put on a great show yesterday. The men's War Games matches were crazy. Gunther, Damian Priest, solid. LA Knight, Nakamura was good too. The three-way match, fantastic. WWE did this one right, in my opinion. Yeah, they seem to be moving in the right direction. AEW is kind of really a shit show, not doing very well. And the WWE is starting to gain more attention and do things more and more correctly. I think that's partly as they get Vince McMahon more and more in the rearview mirror, away from the team, away from the company, and making all the decisions. They've done better and better. Now, I think that there's some dispute or discussion about who will be in charge in the new year, that it could and possibly be that Triple H is forced out and The Rock will be more of the creative director for wrestling very soon because he's in the ownership group, apparently. The Rock is one of the main owners of WWE at this point because he's in TKO ownership. and that in some ways they may actually oust Stephanie and Paul out of the job, and Dwayne will be in his spot creatively running the WWE as the creative decision maker and booker, which isn't a bad thing. We got to understand The Rock has 3 generations of this business in his body, that he has promoters in his life. His grandmother was one of the best female promoters in the history of wrestling. So, I mean, I could see that. And in some ways, it's not that TKO or the company has any like duty to keep a McMahon in charge. And I could see them kicking Stephanie and Triple H out, even though they've done a pretty good job. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing the buzz behind the scenes is something like this. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Shir Khan saying, "Oh, I thought Bruce Brown was okay to return. No worries. Scotty posted poised for another triple double. Home crowd will give a boost for the win. Oshai, Jacoby, and RJ combo on the wings is something special." Okay, I thought you were telling me good news. I wanted to double check. But yeah, they came out yesterday saying that he's still not ready and he won't be back today. Unfortunately, I really hope for it. Yeah, it was great to see Scotty get his 6th triple double in his career on Friday night, his first one for this season. And, I was a little worried that they might recheck his numbers and take it away from him like they did what they did to Jakob recently with his 2020 game. I was, maybe I'm just a little bit like guarded in these kind of situations where our guys get achievements, and hopefully the stat guy for the NBA doesn't rob them. I mean, you can understand why this is important. You can look at the list with Jokic and Russell Westbrook and the Nuggets and how many triple doubles those guys have. And if players are getting triple doubles almost for most of their career, but they don't get them officially, they don't get added. So it's like you get a 20, 10 and 10 game like Scotty did on Friday, but all of a sudden you mysteriously lose an assist after the game and it doesn't go towards your overall triple double count. I get worried about that because in some ways there's been some fishy rescoring after games have finished with alterations to the box score. And thank God, it seems that Scotty's triple double stuck from Friday night. It's not that he has to continue, he has to do it on the court. It's not just that. They have to officially score it that way and not alter it or revise it later. And thank God they didn't do that. 6 triple doubles for Scott in his career and his first one this year. And that puts him second on the all-time triple-double list for Raptors franchise history. Kyle Lowry, of course, the GOAT, has the most triple-doubles in the history of our franchise. Well, Scotty's second now. He has more triple-doubles than Vince Carter, Chris Bosh, Pascal Siakam, all those other guys in his 4th year on the Raptors right now. He needs to go get some more this year. And I agree with Shirkan. Let's get a second one today. I agree with him right there. I love it. Yeah. Home crowd will give the boost for the win. Let's hope for that. Let's really, really hope for that. Yeah. Stargate saying, don't be too hard on Jacoby. That's part of the rookie mistakes we expect. That's the thing. I'm giving him allowances. I'm giving all these guys allowances, and they're pleasantly surprising me because they're not making very many rookie mistakes. I can point to each one of them and say this is different places where they're kind of screwing up. Jamison Battle had a point where he stepped out of bounds at one point, and he should have known the dimensions of the court, but he stepped out, unforced turnover. Jonathan Mobo may be blowing some defensive assignments because he doesn't exactly know what he's got to do as a defensive big in this league and how much he has to cover certain spaces. And he may blow an assignment, and then all of a sudden there's a layup. Jamal Shed, he may throw a crazy pass that somebody can't handle, and it may loft up and go out of bounds. I mean, these guys are all making rookie mistakes, but they're limiting them. And in some ways, there's more that they're doing right than wrong. That's pretty cool because a lot of rookies, and they've said this on the broadcast recently, come into Green with only like 1 year or maybe no college, and they really aren't ready. And there are projects in the NBA that need time to figure it out while they're there. Well, we were smart. We drafted players that had more years of college, and they were older in some cases, but also very good, astute, fundamentally strong players. And all these guys, Shamshay's different than the other 4 because he's an 18-year-old project. But those other guys, they really come ready to go out the package as rookies this year to help the team in the rotation. And that's a testament to them putting in work before they even came to the league to be more complete players. And that's I love that. And I love the fact that our front office was smart and targeting players like that. And Brandon Carlson, when we got him undrafted, he was like this too, like as a fifth year red shirt, 5 year at Utah, shed all the time in the world at Houston. Jacoby Walter is looking very polished and just fundamentally sound with his the way he carries himself as a player. There's a lot of fundamentals that you can see in what Jacoby's doing on the court, and it's fantastic. I love it, man. I love it. Rookie mistakes are there here and there, but they're limited, and they're not killing us as bad as you'd think they would. Nameless is saying, of course, Darko can be cutthroat when necessary, but alas, we agree. He does not have the personal, nor is he in the right stage of development. He does not have the personnel. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll get behind this. We're meeting the right place right here. Yeah, I can get behind all this. Looks Darko's shown anger. He got really mad at Chris on the game on Friday. Did you see that? And it's like they were saying on the broadcast, it's like Darko can yell at these guys and none of them take it personally because they know it comes from the right place. And in some ways, they know that his intentions are only to make him better. Now, in fact, this was very interesting. Chris had a really bad start to when he came in off the bench, and he missed a couple of shots. He was playing lazy. In some ways, we saw Chris from like 3 years ago show up at when he first got on the court on the Miami game on Friday. And Darko called the timeout and started yelling at him, went off on him, showed him a real. We saw a side of Darko we hadn't seen a whole lot in his first 2 years coaching our team. And well, he really laid into him. But what did he do? And this is says so much. He didn't yell at him and then bench him in punishment. He left him on the court. Chris, I was fully expecting, because Chris shot the bed coming in and not doing his assignments or anything right, that Darko would bench him immediately. But that's not what he did. He read him the riot act. He told him what he needed to do, and he left them out there to try and make up for it. And in some ways, Chris did to an extent, but not really. He had a hard game on Friday, and he wasn't a factor. But that told me a lot, that Darko's not just going to yell at a guy and get really mad at him and then bench him and punish him. In some ways, it's more encouraging to give him constructive criticism, intensity, and say, this is not good enough, Chris. I want you to show me better. You're still in. I thought that really impressed me in some ways. You saw what I was talking about on Friday. That's right. Shirkan saying, not sure if folks here follow floor and ceiling scouting reports, but they had Jacoby as a top 10 pick in the draft. They're big on his movement threes, on pin downs, and off-ball action. Another possible closer. Yeah, all the signs are there, Shirkan, that in some ways Jacoby could develop into a clutch player, a very, very good scorer that's hard to stop. And I like it. I like it. His decision making is very good. And there's a lot of potential here. Everything I'm seeing, like I said, is kind of like Grady last year, where you have aha moments and like wow moments. It's like, okay, well, wow, that's really nice to discover that Jacoby can do that. It's those kind of things are happening right now. Yeah, I think that in some ways we really lucked out that he fell so far and that we were able to get him at 19th. I think in some ways that's one of the reasons why the Raptors were so giddy about this draft this year. They talked about it on the broadcast as saying, oh, this draft class was weak, but not for the Raptors. And people are saying, oh, you're rookies. Which one do you like? We like all of them. Like all of them. Jamison, Jonathan, Jamal, Jacoby. Those guys are all good. Oh, and you didn't even bring up the young project Shamshe that's going to be hitting in like a couple of years from now. And people will look back on the 2024 draft with the Raptors and say, damn, they cleaned up. They cleaned up. How did they do this? They got like such good rookies that year. They're going to be known for this. Seriously. It'll be very similar to the year that we brought in Jakob, Pascal, and Fred and that crew, because that was the same year also. All three of those guys showed up in the league, and look at where they are. Two of them are all-stars, and one of them is one of the best centers in the league. So it's very interesting. It's very, 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 very interesting. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Where was I? Did I not read this one? Darko is way too engaged not to be cutthroat when the time is right. I think Darko will be regarded as one of the best coaches in the league in the future. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. In some ways, there's no guarantees in coaching. It's a unforgiving profession. And, in some ways, you got to get the right mix of everything happening in the right time, or you can be things like Griff. Look at Griff. Griff is a cautionary tale. Griff built his career up for 15 years in the assistant coaching ranks. And he finally got his shot, and he was totally unfairly ran out in Milwaukee. He didn't do anything wrong. So that's what I'm saying. It's a cruel, cruel world coaching the NBA. And well, we just want to hope that Darko has good things happen to him so that he can get to that point. Sometimes it's not even skill or knowledge, it's luck that gets you somewhere with your NBA coaching career. Yeah, you're lucky, Phil Jackson, that you're coaching Michael Jordan. You're lucky you're coaching Shaq and Kobe in some ways. That's part of Michael Jordan, Shaq, and Kobe are a big reason why Phil Jackson is considered one of the greatest coaches in the NBA. You got to have some of that kind of luck too. Then you'll look a lot better. So I hope he does become one of the best coaches in the league's history by the end of it all. But man, that's a tough road. And some of it is going to be not just how good he is, it's got to be luck that's going to be factored in there. Yeah, factored in there. Nameless saying nobody knew who Nick Nurse was before he was coached. He coached the Raptors either, but they're going to know for damn sure who Darko is when it's all said and done. I could see this. I can see this. You know, the Raptors have done a good job of making superstars out of late draft picks, Siakam and different people. Well, in some ways, this could be a calling card for us that the Raptors are good at making coaches of the year. We have 3 of them in our history, and it could very well be that Darko in the next couple of years wins his own. And, I can see this, especially because everybody in the NBA portrays us in the media as being a bottom feeder and a rebuilding team that is not significant or making any waves. So when we do get healthy and possibly start winning again, and maybe we're a playoff team and we're involved in the Eastern Conference, they'll give a lot of credit to our coach. And that's when they'll start to see it. He's not in the talks for anything right now as far as coach of the year talks. They're talking a lot about Kenny Atkinson and how he's done so well with Cleveland since he started there this year that he's probably the front runner for coach of the year right now. That's the kind of stuff that will get you there. Think about how Sam Mitchell won his coach of the year. Think about how Dwayne Casey won his coach of the year. It's by putting his team at the top of the Eastern Conference when nobody thought that they should be there, and they're surprised. Well, Darko has those kind of settings available to him in the years in the future, very close future, to get that kind of success. He'll get notoriety, and he might win a coach of the year because nobody expects the Raptors to do well. That's why it's easier to win it here. In some ways, it's easier to win a coach of the year on the Raptors than it is on most teams in this league because nobody expects us to do well. So when they do well, they're like, oh, they're so good. The coach is awesome. Give him coach of the year. And stuff like that. I could see this. Let's see. Stargate saying, I hear The Rock may hire Shane, who has always wanted to be top dog in WWE, to run the whole show, but that's a rumor. I could see this. I could totally see this. The Rock and Shane are very close. And I know that, Shane was exiled from the company because him and his dad did not get along. We saw this on the Mr. McMahon series on Netflix, where Shane, in some ways, didn't go with his creepy, pervy, behind the scenes kind of lifestyle. Shane was very much a family guy and did not agree with all that. That in some ways, and him and his dad fought on every creative decision when Shane was kind of being groomed to take over, that it got to the point where they threw their hands up and Shane left. And he was basically written out of everything. But I could see this happening around in a redemptive curve. Shane loves the business. And in some ways, he always thought, rightfully so, he should be the one that gets to do his father's company after he's gone. Well, his father isn't in control anymore, and he can't keep him out. So I could totally see this happening. If anything, Shane will be there, if not in charge. I don't think he'll be in charge possibly, but he'll be there helping. I'll bet you he will. I'm just saying, when Darko yelled at Slim Duck, if you look at that play, it was off nights that made the mistake that he didn't box out Hero, which allowed him back cut for the layup. It wasn't just that play, though. There were successive plays in a row where Chris just missed his assignments, and it was causing problems. And yeah, I mean, I remember what you're saying, but it wasn't just one play. He had actually made a series of plays that were not the way he was supposed to do. And, there was a weird moment where he was taking little shots in the middle. They were doing a zone buster thing where they were a little discombobulated and they weren't doing things exactly right. And the play got broken. And Chris took 2 weird floaters in the lane that were really bad and kind of not the right decisions at that moment. And that was part of why he got mad at him too, is that they really got their offense off track. And then Chris was taking ill-advised shots. And it would have been fine if he made them. Okay, the play's broken. Yeah, put the ball in the hoop in the middle lane. But then he didn't do it exactly right. And maybe that he was supposed to pass from that moment. Yeah. Either way, I like seeing Darko hold his players accountable. And also, I like seeing him leave him in the game instead of just punishing him. So that was pretty interesting. Nameless saying, well, if that coaching luck is part of the equation, just look at who Darko gets to coach. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a pretty good team, and we don't know how good our talent is with it fully healthy yet. And we also don't know how the growth potential of the young players is as they grow into becoming more and more better. It could very well be we have a supremely talented team in the NBA that really is top notch because our front office built it and they understand what kind of player types they want on our team. So, I mean, luck is a factor in your NBA coaching career. It's not necessarily you're just a good coach. The best coach, some of the best coaches are failures in the NBA. Some of the best college coaches jump the ranks and go from the college ranks to the NBA ranks and they fail miserably because it's just that much more difficult and it's so thankless. You get all the dumping of the criticism most of the time and very, very little respect and kudos for what you're doing. It's a thankless job. It's such a thankless job right there. Yeah, Trevor's saying Raptors fans are so hurry up for us to win, but you never see a farmer have apples before he plants the tree. I love that. I love that. In some ways, it makes me want to go look at the Farmers app since you said that on the first day of December with a new moon today. Let's go see what the Farmers app's saying. In some ways, we'll do it in tribute to our old friend, too. Today is the best day to go camping or straighten hair. Okay, so some of the Raptors want to get their hair did today before the game. Go and get your hair did. This is a good day for that. And whoever's out there camping in this 0- weather, God bless you. That's what I say to you if you're out there camping today. There's your Farmer's Almanac app real quick. All right, let's do the classic card of the day. We're on this. All right, I was glad that I was able to execute the classic card yesterday. Good job, Isaac Campbell, getting one of your favorite players, Glenn Rice. I've heard you tell me this. That's the funny thing. Isaac told me that Glenn Rice was one of his favorite players, I believe, at the Real Jerk when we had a hangout there. And then he got the classic card of him when we had, oh, this is fun. All right, let's see who knows this player. Classic card of the day. Here we go. I did the Instagram stories already, Trevor. I did do the Instagram. Who is that, guys? This is hilarious. That's a look at the year in the corner. This is kind of an important, he's not important. I shouldn't say that. This is a player that does have ties to our team. Let's just put it that way. I don't think he actually ever played for us, though, which is kind of funny. All right, who is that? Can I get any guesses on the classic card? If you do not guess, I will give you clues on their name if you cannot figure it out. It is a hard one. This is going to be like a 200-point card for sure. This is not an easy classic card. And it is classic. You can see the years in the bottom that this is from 30 years ago. So you go ahead and tell me who is the classic card today. We'll see if no answers yet. Come on now. Nobody can see him, I guess. Yeah, don't look it up. Just give me some good answers, and I'll give you some good clues. Nobody has a guess yet. That's the Golden State Warriors, obviously, around 92, 93. And I don't want you to go look up the number or anything. In some ways, you can't totally see the number. So who is that? I got my finger over their name on the card. Nobody's guessed so far. Come on. Somebody's got to be in here that is competing for this. Kareem, Smooth. Do you guys like step out when I do the classic cards or something? Like a Smooth keeps coming back and say, hey, did you do classic card? I mean, yeah, I did it. Where were you? Is there somebody not here? In some ways. All right. I don't want to give clues right away, y'all. Just somebody take a crazy guess. It doesn't even have to be realistic. Let's see. Oh, Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Free Crew. I'm still struggling in fantasy. My strategy is only working on ESPN. I have 2 fantasy teams this season. Okay. So your strategy is working on the other team. You know, it may not have to do with the app. It may just have to do with your rosters that are different on both teams. It may have to do with that. Cool Cat, who's this classic card? Go ahead and put your name in the hat. Put a name in the hat and tell us who this is. Somebody help me. I'm a fish out of water until you do. Come on now. I've given you guys a little bit of clue. This person is connected to our franchise that we love called the Toronto Raptors. But I don't think he ever actually played a game for us, just so y'all know. I don't know if that's enough to tell you guys. Think about the years, too, if he was on the Raptors and when he was. Nobody's going to guess. Come on, just one person guess. Trevor, just throw a name out there. I don't care. Just tell me who he looks like as a celebrity. And maybe I'll give you a clue after that that'll help people get their minds going on this. Nobody knows who that is. John Wallace? John Wallace? No, it's not John Wallace. John Wallace, I don't believe he ever played for the Warriors. But Wallace does have a Raptors connection. All right, I'll say this. This guy has the same first name as the longtime main villain on the soap opera Young and the Restless. So if you know who the main important villain from Young and the Restless is, from like 40 years now, since the 70s, this guy has been on Young and the Restless. His first name of the character is the same first name of this basketball player. So if you know Y&R, this is for the soap opera fans. You'll know their first name is the name of the villain from Young and the Restless from many. He's not really a villain though. Sometimes, yes, that's the name of the character. Cool Cat has got the name of Eric Braden's character on Young and the Restless. That is exactly the first name of this player. So you got that part. So we just need to get the two part of it, the last name with it. So does anybody know this player then? That's, and I'll go beyond and say this guy was an original Raptor, but he never actually played for the Raptors that year. This guy was officially on the Raptors roster our inaugural year, but he never suited up and took the court as a Raptor. But he's officially on our roster from that season and could be considered an original Raptor, even though he never actually played. And I think it was partly because Brendan Malone thought this dude didn't take his career seriously, and he was overweight, and he did not do things as a pro. And, well, he did not get to play for the Raptors. And in some ways, his NBA career went on the tubes after that. So, yeah, another guess. Anyone? Come on. You got the first name of it. You got half of it now, y'all. Where are my classic card competitors? I'm really worried about Kareem and Smooth Brown Man, because they're the guys at the top. There you go. Finally. Where were you, man? Were you in the bathroom? Yes, of course. That's Victor Alexander. Victor Alexander was in the expansion draft. Or no, he was in the trade. It was a trade that brought him to our team. He was in that trade with Carlos Rogers and Clifford Rozier. And he never played for us. Yeah, Victor Alexander. That's right. Victor James lets you have a unlimited response mode. Yeah. He was in the bathroom. I was right. Yeah, you guys are only allowed to answer every minute. I know that. That's why you got to shoot your shots smart to get the classic card. Yeah, there's Victor Alexander. It's actually his rookie card, this card. So he wasn't in the league for very long. And in some ways, it's too bad. So Smooth, you've been going to the bathroom at the wrong times, but you got back in time this time. Nobody figured it out in time while you were gone. And they even knew his first name. It's just crazy. All right, Victor Alexander. Smooth increases his lead over Kareem with another 200 points added there. Wow. Yeah, original Raptor. Victor Alexander was the guest. That's right. He looks like Shamar Moore. Shamar Moore? You're talking about Young and the Restless, too. That looks like Shamar Moore? I don't know about that. Come on now. He looks kind of like a pudgier Steve Smith is what he looks like to me. He looks kind of like Smitty if he was like a center and overweight. Yeah. Because Victor really ballooned up. This is him as a rookie. He got fatter as he went on in his career. And by the time the Raptors had him, he's like, well, what are we doing with you, bro? We got Oliver Miller already. And in some ways, he's got a girth that he can handle athletically and be fine. But this guy was too slow when he got fat. So he couldn't do it. Yeah, there you go. Does that look like Shamar Moore? A little bit. I don't know. Heartthrob, Shamar Moore, Criminal Minds. All right, let's see. I guess I'll wrap it up, man. I got about 15 minutes before 2 hours. I don't think I have anything else in my tabs. There's no birthday today. And yeah, we'll just do the wrap up real quick. All right. So the Raptors, nobody's coming back yet. It was not true when we said Bruce Brown would be back today. He is not going to return today. Grady Dick, Kelly Olynyk, and Emmanuel Quickley are all out still also for the Raptors. It's probably likely that Jacoby Walter will make his third start in a row for the Raptors today. Miami Heat injuries are two. Nikola Jovic and Josh Richardson are not available to play today for the Miami Heat. The referees for today's game: Kevin Scott is the crew chief, JT Orr is the second ref, and Musa Dagger is the third ref. The Kevin and Musa favor the Miami Heat, and JT Orr favors the Raptors. So JT Orr is the friendly ref. All right, y'all. I'll say this. You guys were asking me yesterday about ref manipulation on Friday's game. There was a little bit of it. Kugat wasn't absolutely horrible, honestly. In some ways, he was pretty good. It's just overall, I mean, him, Schwab, and Maddox, in some ways, it's not that they helped Miami. It's just that Miami, in some ways, knew how to take advantage of the opportunities and presented in front of them as far as going on runs at very crucial times and getting things going. In fact, it was very evident. There was a timeout that Spoelstra did in the second half where they came out and they were absolute gangbusters afterwards, and they reeled off like a 15-0 run on us. And that was a big part of them overtaking the lead in the last game in the third quarter and beating us. Is that, Spoelstra had a very masterful timeout and got his team oriented in the way where they came out and just blew us out from that point with a run. And then Darko had a timeout, and he had a similar effect, but it wasn't on the same scale, where our team went on a little run after a timeout and adjustment also. It is a game of adjustments, and the coaching knowledge does matter. It does matter. That's right. Let's see. SWAT. Yeah, Shamar's been on a few shows, but I always remember him from Criminal Minds and Young and the Restless. Of course, he was Malcolm on Young and the Restless. And yeah, that's a show that I've watched at different times in my life. I don't know. I lived with my grandmother for a while. Okay, don't judge. And sometimes, I would watch it just to have more to talk about with her on the phone. Oh yeah, did you see what Victor did to Nick on the last episode? Oh my gosh, can you believe that? And what are you thinking, Sharon? Any wine art people probably laughing about that. Shirkan saying, idea for an animated movie, a twist on Space Jam, Zootopia. Raptors are on the brink of extinction in a city of all the animals who decide to create B-ball team to re-enter mascot society and win it all. That sounds so cute and family friendly. Shirkan, man, do you work in entertainment industry? Because, man, you could pitch that idea. Get this man in an elevator in Hollywood and give him 30 seconds on the way up to make his elevator pitch, because I think he's got a winner here. In some ways, MLSE may be listening. Maybe there is some sort of expansive project in entertainment where you can bring more light and shine on the Raptors franchise from doing something to what he just said. I think it's a fantastic idea, family friendly, and it puts more out in the zeitgeist that's Toronto Raptors oriented. Yeah, I'm all about this. It'd be much better than the Love Guru was made for the Leafs. That movie was horrible. Mike Myers, woo, why'd you do that? That kind of ended your career doing the Love Guru. Kind of a racist movie that was very much an homage to his favorite hockey team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, we want a good quality project. We don't want one that's going to ruin a great Canadian improviser and comedian's career, like the Love Guru. Yeah, that's what we want. That's a fantastic idea, Shirkan. Write it down. Write a script and get in an elevator and pitch it. That's right. Cool guy saying, I love to see Jacoby drives. Yeah, you mean his drives to the basket or that he drives a car? Yeah, he's pretty interesting. He has a couple of knocks, and when they coming in, one of them is that they said that he's not very good at I forget what it was, creating his own shot. That in some ways they're saying that he's much better when he receives the ball off a pass from a teammate than him trying to go isolation and shake a defender to score over them. So in some ways he's happy and lucky that he's on Toronto, because Darko has a system that's predicated on cuts and screens and passing. And in some ways that benefits Jacoby with his strengths, and it kind of hides his weakness, which is him trying to create his own shot by himself with the defender one-on-one. So he can play inside the system, and he's a fantastic cutter like Grady. Yeah, this is all good stuff right here. Wayne's here. Morning, freaks. My hope is that the brainiacs on our team realize the importance of Jakob. A player that does consecutive 30-point games can't be overlooked. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about fans? Are you saying that, you noticed recently a couple games ago that Jakob was gone away from as the center of our offense, and he barely scored any points? I believe that was against the Pelicans. But in some ways, they didn't really need him against the Pelicans because of the state of disarray they were in. I think they heard some of us saying that they wanted to see Scotty be more of the hub recently, and they went away from Jakob in the middle of the week last week against New Orleans and didn't really run the ball through him. They really tried to run the ball mostly through RJ and Scotty and to mixed results. I mean, we won the game. It was the game where we had a 30-point lead for the first time in the whole season. So, it may be that personnel in that situation, it's okay. But I agree. Like if Jakob is an advantage in a game, we need to utilize him and go to that well. And in some ways, against the Heat, he has an advantage. Bam Adebayo is a certain type of center, but he isn't a certain type of center that can really totally handle Jakob. So, I mean, there's merit in trying to get the ball to Jakob and trying to let him work down low. But if they're trying to force it to him when there's lurkers like Jimmy Butler on the side while Bam's bodying him and they are coughing up the ball into turnovers, then the Raptors don't need to try and do that. And that's part of reading the defense and the distribution of the defensive players and not throwing the ball into a crowd of them. And I'm all about feeding the hungry lion that is Jakob Poeltl for sure. I'm all about that. That's right. Mike's saying noise. Noise. You fix the audio issue. The backup phone thing should be for emergencies. Yeah, Mike, I explained it earlier. I left my computer on while I was sleeping on Friday night, and it went to sleep on its own. And then when I woke up, I didn't restart it, and it was in a weird mode where it wasn't allowing me to get the microphone connected. It was weird. I troubleshot it. It was just dumb. In some ways, I really enjoyed doing the show yesterday with no audio because it was stupid, and it was kind of fun. And well, this guy, I wish y'all had heard his bars. You gonna do it today? You were so good yesterday. I can't believe your rhymes and like how well you sounded. Are you gonna do it today? Why? Why wouldn't you do it now? They couldn't hear you yesterday when you did your amazing song. Now you're not gonna do it? What the hell, man? What's wrong with you? You're my son. I'm still proud of you. But why won't you do the song now? Oh man, he doesn't feel well today, guys. All right, Justin, well, go back to bed. I hope you feel better, man. But yeah, he was spitting bars yesterday. Y'all watched the stream yesterday. And later in the stream, he went off, y'all. I was like, yeah, come on, do it. No? All right, fine. I love you. I love you. All right. You were so good yesterday. I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. All right, go back to sleep. All right, yeah. Trevor say I love Jacoby's jump shot. Yeah, it's promising. It's fundamentally good. It's got good rotation. He's got a good quick release. He's very aggressive and confident and wanting to take it, and that's a good sign. That's a good sign. He's not sheepish. He's not like, oh, should I do this? No, he's very much, I'm going to take this shot because I believe in myself and I believe it'll go in. That's what I like. I like that. Yeah, Infamous saying one of his knocks was he wasn't a good passer. Yeah, that was one of the knocks I heard too. But I've seen evidence that this is not true. I saw him flip a pass to somebody on a drive to the basket in the last game, and it was high level kind of drive and kick. And that's a good sign. So, some of this stuff they say, well, they got to have good and bad things to talk about players and scouting reports. And maybe that was one that's not totally fair to him, the one about passing. Trevor's saying Washington is the worst team. Absolutely bad. I don't know, man. That Pelicans team is absolutely the worst right now. I'm telling you, man. It's sad. It's sad in some ways what's happened with them. I mean, I hadn't seen a team give up in the third quarter like that and just absolutely have nothing going on. And Wade DeJounte Murray talked about them after the game was exactly right. Although he's kind of a jerk for doing that. He had not played for them yet. And he just showed up and played for them first time. And he's so critical of his teammates. I don't know. That doesn't seem like the recipe for good synergy and chemistry on that team. And if DeJounte Murray is kind of annoyed and like calling out people already, and he just showed up and he hasn't really done anything to be showing that he's a leader that should be listened to, things could get worse in New Orleans real fast. That side of the NBA, the Western Conference, is better, obviously. And Washington, well, they're still down there. I saw that Philly won last night, so they got another win. Cool Cat saying Young the Restless was the best bonding with grandparents. Great summer memories every year I visit. I was able to catch up fast from previous summers. Also had to learn baseball, the stats for Atlanta Braves. That's cool. I love Cool Cat reminiscing about stuff like that. Yeah, they recycle storylines on Y&R like crazy. Like, it's always like Victor gets trapped somewhere. He's in a jail cell in Mexico or some other place. Like he gets in a plane crash and they throw him in a jail cell and he's like sitting in the jail cell all of a sudden again. Like they recycle so much. Like whether it's Sharon versus Phyllis in this way, it's fun because like it's sometimes if I haven't watched in a while, I'll come back and watch it just for a sec and I'll know exactly what's going on, even though I haven't watched it in like 5 years. I'm like, oh, they're at this section of the storyline that they repeat over and over again right now. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Summer is Phyllis's daughter. But yeah, Atlanta Braves baseball. That's something from my youth and my past. Since the Braves were the market team for Tallahassee when I was a kid, and I remember my old barber was a huge Braves fan. He was always talking about the Braves, and he called me King Alexei of Russia. I'm like, why you call me that? And he's like, you're from Canada, right? You're from Montreal. He's one of these Americans that thought that all of Canada was the same place. And he kept confusing Toronto for Montreal. He's a nice guy, but he was a huge Braves fan. And sometimes we talk trash, especially around the early 90s when the Braves and the Blue Jays played in the World Series. And we know what happened there. So I got to talk some major trash to my barber around that time because he's like the Blue Jays. What are they doing right now? Alexi. He called me Alexi. I don't even know why he called me that. It's weird, man. It's weird. But yeah, good memories, Cool Cat. I love that. She's saying also Coach Darko has Barnes as point guard, so Barnes has to find ways to include him on offense. Look at those previous games. Teams rotate around Jakob, but that would decrease Barnes' stats. It's his team. Well, what I wanted them to do, Cool Cat, is this. You just, it's okay if we don't use Jakob in the high post as the hub. In some ways, I switch him out and put Scotty there and let RJ bring the ball up the court. RJ standing on the outside with the ball. He throws it into Scott at the top of the key, and Scott makes the offense happen from there. That's kind of what I want to see more of. Jakob's great at doing it, and we've done a lot with him already. In some ways, when Quickly and Mitchell and Shed are out there, that's a great pick and roll kind of combo with any of those little guards with Jakob. A lot of hard work put in this summer to connect and get to know each other's proclivities. But in some ways, I'm very curious about RJ being the ball handler, bringing the ball up the court, and Scotty being set up in the hub, getting position at the high post. And what could be possible there? Because if Scotty has the ball with his back to the basket near the free throw line, he can turn around and shoot it on a fadeaway. He can look all around him like Jakob does. He can do little bounce passes to people cutting next to him. He could turn real quick and drive to the basket himself. The potential for this kind of play set is very, very good. And in some ways, that's what I'd like to see, what I just specifically described right there. We'll have to see. Mike's saying Wizards are like the Clippers. It's an early retirement spot. Get paid and winning isn't important. It just is what it is. It's what's the storyline, what's the game plan for this team. The Clippers are not like the Wizards. That's not a very good comparison. The Clippers have paid a lot of money, and they're spending a lot of money on their arena. They have a crazy owner. They have some very high-priced Hall of Famers on their team that aren't even playing. Some of them are James Harden. The Wizards have none of this. The Wizards don't have an owner like Steve Ballmer. They have the dregs. They're an afterthought. They're not a team that has any kind of promising future. Their collective of players is not a good group of players to grow and build together. And the Clippers are at the end of a cycle where they're about to have to scrap it all down and rebuild. But they had playoff potential, and they did get the playoffs quite a bit in the last few years. So I don't agree with this comparison because they're very, very different franchises. Now, if you want to say that the Wizards are like the Clippers of the 80s, sure. Sure, that would fit. That would fit really, really well right there. Wayne saying, I'm happy that the Pelicans suck. They enjoyed embarrassing us last season during our losing streak. Fuck them. Yeah, I don't have a grudge against them like that, but they did do that to an extent. I mean, part of it was just Zion Williamson was so crazy good. It's sad that his career is going to be probably over if he doesn't get his acting gear real quick. Yeah, so you were fine with us getting a little get back against the Pelicans on Wednesday. I was too. I like how things even out over time sometimes because the blowouts in New Orleans the last couple of years were very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. That's right. Trevor's saying, watch the show FBI. FBI. That's another show like Criminal Minds or SWAT or what was it? The old Toronto cop show that used to be on. They was set in Canada, and they show a lot of scenes, and it was Flashpoint. Flashpoint. That's another one of those kind of shows. That's right. Stargate saying Pelicans have an excuse. They are really, really injured. Healthy, they are not that bad. DC, on the other hand, SAR is not looking as advertised at all. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Yeah. And you love that show, FBI. Cool. Yeah, this is a good point. That the Pelicans have a good excuse. In some ways, the Bucks have not had a good excuse for why they were so bad in the beginning because they were healthy and they just weren't winning. And then Philadelphia's kind of had an excuse because Embiid's been out, but also the amount that they've lost with just missing Embiid is kind of scary to Sixers Nation because they shouldn't have fallen off this much just by missing Joel. Yeah, there's excuses. There's excuses for us, injuries. I mean, what three teams had the most injuries? Memphis, New Orleans, and Toronto. And in some ways, Memphis is striving and achieving with the most injuries in the league. But the Pelicans and the Raptors have felt it. They really have felt it with the lost games played by our very important players. That's right. Wayne's saying that is ideal too. Scotty in that position with RJ with the ball, switch to Jakob when Scotty is off. I love that strategy. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about it. My influence for thinking about this was Coach Roach on To The Point this week when he said he wanted to switch Jakob out of being the hub and putting Scott in the hub. Well, the way we've been using Jakob as the hub is at the high post. And yeah, Scotty in that position is a great idea because there's so many different decisions he can make, and he can really keep the other team guessing. And in some ways, you allow RJ the ability to kind of work on the outside. Scotty's kind of trying to work position around the high post. And there's a lot of opportunities for cutting around there because they're garnering a lot of attention and worry. Then you got people like Oshai and Grady run around the baseline, and they may be open for corner threes or cuts to the basket where they're just getting layups. And because those guys are good passers, they find them. They find them. So, and when IQ's healthy, you could put IQ in that spot with RJ instead of RJ. And like you said, these are interchangeable parts. If Jakob's in the game because Scotty's out, he does the job still. If RJ's out, IQ and them maybe switch out on that. It's a really, really sound philosophical basketball philosophy for a lot of good results is what I think. Yeah. Mike's saying the Clippers have a lax culture at the moment, and the fan base doesn't create the pressure to win like the Lakers or Philly or Miami. Yeah, but it's like to me, man, you got to understand how bad I think the Wizards are right now. The Wizards have a really bad front office. They don't really have a lot of things. I mean, if you want to compare them, that's you're right, Mike. But they're in totally different places. In fact, the Clippers are destined to be successful no matter what in the future. The Wizards are not. The Wizards are destined to stay exactly where they are for the years to come. The Clippers have a money behind them. The Clippers have a brand new building. And even though they're hamstrung because they traded all their picks with SGA and this stupid shit for Paul George, they're going to figure it out because in some ways, Steve Ballmer won't have it any other way. Let's just get it the right way. He may have learned during this period with Kawhi that this fix is stealing our superstar and trying to put him on the team didn't work. And it could very well be the next era of Clippers is rebuilt from the bottom with youth. Now, will they go through the cycles of bad stuff like before with Michael Olakande, Lloyd Vaught, Danny Manning, and Ken Norman, and all the different things that the Clippers were doing developmentally when they were ran by Elgin Baylor? Maybe. Maybe they'll get stuck in ruts because they don't have a good front office. Jerry West passed away, and they don't have the insight to build the right player nucleus from youth. Maybe, but they're destined for a rebuild. And because they have finances, they have resources, they're destined to have success in the future. Not like the Wizards, though. Not like the Wizards. That's why I say that's different, man. It's different. The lax culture, well, that's James Harden, man. James Harden just comes a certain way to your team. And if he's the figurehead, he's the healthy, best player on your team. Well, he sets the culture as the leader. And that's what it is with the team itself. That crowd is crazy. In fact, the things they're doing with the Intuit Dome have been fantastic. Home run. Everything about that place has been very, very good so far. And that's different too. Trevor's saying we need to beat Miami. They're going to be on the back-to-back. So they got to play again tomorrow. So they're playing the first night against us, and they go play somebody else after us, like Detroit or Cleveland. Okay. All right. I like that. Stargate saying Sixers are just a dumpster fire. The biggest mistake they made was not running it back after 2019. That was the end of them. Yeah. When Jimmy said you picked Tobias Harris over me, you picked him over me. Yeah. That was a huge mistake. Letting Jimmy Butler walk and JJ Redick, too. Yeah. Philly, I'm telling you right now, Philly has, done a couple of things okay, but for the most part, the way they've ran that franchise has been stupid. Daryl Morey does not know what he's doing. In some ways, he showed it when he was in Houston, and he's showing it further here in Philadelphia. In some ways, yeah. Cool Cat saying RJ and Jar are the stars of their draft. Zion has not lived up to the hype. Toronto Pelicans, Pacers performances are affected by injuries. Too many starters and rotation players injured for weeks. Yeah, it's definitely a factor for us, for sure. And Mike's saying it takes time to build up an organization no matter how rich you are. Yeah, yes and no. It depends. Like sometimes you can throw a lot of money at things and it happens really fast, honestly. The other team that's like the Clippers right now is Phoenix. And in some ways, Phoenix has thrown a lot of money at different people. And you're right. It doesn't work exactly right away. This Durant, Beal, Booker thing is not totally going as smooth as they'd hoped and not as overpowering and powerful as they thought it would be. In some ways, their deficiencies have been defense. And that's why getting Nurkic for Ayton helped, but they're still not exactly right. And yeah, throwing money at it all, especially with the aprons and all that kind of stuff. It was interesting. They brought up the Florida no tax on the broadcast and saying how they think it's unfair. I don't bring up this very often, but in some ways, the way that Matt and Jack described it during last game made it very evident that it is unfair in the new salary cap system. That the way that some teams can actually pay more to their players on the down low in certain situations. This is actually one of the reasons, maybe possibly why players are not as excited to come to Toronto as they would to Miami, because in some ways they get more. Oh, they're just saying snow's coming. Snow expected in an hour. Yikes! My computer just told me. I better finish up right now. I'm over 2 hours anyway. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Trevor's saying driving back to Fort Lauderdale this afternoon. I spent all the time with my friend, with all my families. There you go. There you go. Trevor on the party bus, went to the game. I thought I might have seen you on the game feed before the game, Trevor. They're showing the crowd, and there was a guy who looked kind of like you wearing a Raptors jersey. And I think it was on the NBA League Pass feed before the game, just so you know. I was like, is that Trevor? Because it looked like you, man. Like I've seen a picture of you, and it was in a Raptors jersey. It wasn't a Miami Heat fan. So I'm like, Trevor, what did you wear when you went to the game the other day? Because I think they showed you in the pregame, like they do when they show the crowd. And I think I saw you. It may have not been you. I don't want to say for sure, but if you were wearing a Raptors jersey, it might have been you that I saw. Wayne saying the Raptors Brainiacs have a plethora of tools to beat best different teams. I agree. Unlike most teams who rely on one or two players to win, player health is necessary, but those players tend to do the same thing. We don't. I think the nature of Scotty being our franchise player and being a guy who does everything on the court is part of why this is happening. Other than that, you got players like RJ and Emmanuel and Grady who bring such a specialized skill set of what they kind of do, and they're all different. That those kind of actions can be done in different ways between those players too. So we keep them guessing. And in some ways, there's a real strength and strategy to that. There really, really is. I'm excited about it. I want to see Emmanuel get healthy because we can't see the full barbecue without the Q. And when we see it, we'll have to see. UC's here. Good to see UC once again. A great Raptor freak. Been frequenting the streams recently. I really love seeing you here, UC. Hard to feel bad for Sixers when they had lottery picks for years and did not even make an Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, I love your music to the ears, man. UC, you want to dunk for just speaking truths that just I love to hear. I'm gonna give you a dunk, man. I don't even know if you're on the list yet. I'm gonna put you on there. I think you might be at the bottom. Let me see. Let me see if you're there. No, you're not. You're getting your first dunk today because I just love that truth was spoken by you. I'm gonna give you a 10-pointer. You're getting a DeMar DeRozan. How about that? You got 10 dunks all of a sudden. There you go. There you go. Let's see. Mike's saying the Florida no tax and Texas no tax is big in the NHL, where there's a hard cap. That's why the Lightning and Panthers are winning the cup at the moment. Yeah, that's what they were alluding to, that they were saying that the NHL teams in those states are doing better because there's more value, bang for your buck in states where the taxes are like that. And in some ways it translates. And in some ways they need to fix this in the NBA. Are you trying to give hidden advantages to teams in Florida like the Magic and the Heat, Adam Silver? That's what I'm wondering, man. In some ways there should be a way to balance this all out so that it isn't an issue. And that's what I'm wondering about that. Yeah, always wear Raptors outfit. You always wear Raptors outfit. Were you wearing a jersey? That's what I want to know specifically. Were you wearing a jersey? Maybe it was me. I'll have to look and see. I don't know if you can go back and watch that part, Trevor, because it wasn't part of the broadcast. It was the cameras on the crowd before the game. And you know how we like to watch on League Pass ahead of the game. We just kind of go in there and check it out and watch and see what's going on in the building and the ambiance. And well, I think I saw the ambiance was Trevor J on Saturday night. Ben, Markel, Jaleel, Nerlens. Yeah, you're talking about the draft picks that the Sixers picked with those years. Yeah, Ben Simmons. Well, how'd that work out? Do you think Masai Ujiri's made a Ben Simmons pick in his tenure on the Raptors? Is there anybody comparable to Ben Simmons that we drafted in the high draft? No, there isn't. What about Markel Fultz, who's almost out of the league at this point, which is crazy? No, I don't think we dropped the ball. Maybe Malachi could be somewhat compared to Markel Fultz, maybe, but Malachi was a much later draft pick than Fultz. Jaleel White or Jaleel Okafor. That's who you're talking about. Yeah, I don't even remember Jaleel White. Did I do that? Yeah, Okafor. I don't even know where you are, man. And Nerlens Noel. Yeah. Yeah, that's quite the list. You should have just put Embiid on there too. Because he's his own little story too there. Yeah. Mike saying the Lightning get $10 million star for $8 million so they can add depth after. Yes, you're explaining it further. This tax phenomena that was talked about by Matt and Jack on the broadcast on Friday. That's right. UC saying Darko Saric was also another waste of a lottery pick. At least he's kind of still around the league, right? I believe what team was he on? I saw him in one of the games. He was still playing. Is he on the Clippers or something at this point? He's on a team out west, I'm pretty sure. He's not on the Suns anymore. I know that. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching the Raptor Freak channel and actually being able to hear me today. Isn't that fantastic? New and improved with audio. Go back and watch the beginning of the stream. It's kind of funny what I did. If you weren't here right at the start of the stream, just go back and just watch the first 5 minutes. It's pretty stupid, but it's kind of funny too. But anyway, either way, y'all, get out there, touch grass on this new moon Sunday, 1st of December, snowfall coming. Just have a great day. I love you guys. Let's go Raptors. Let's hold court on our home court, and let's hold off the Miami Heat from scorching us on a snowy Sunday. Let's go ahead and get out there and kick their ass, Scotty. Let's have some use your animosity against the other team and not the referees. And just kind of like go with the flow and kick some ass. RJ's going to be competing for his city because he's in his city. And we know RJ's minutes and numbers. RJ's numbers are higher in Toronto than on the road. So I'm expecting big things from Mr. Barrett tonight. And, we just want to continue to grow. Let's keep growing, farmers. And let's keep getting better as a developing young team in the NBA. Future is so, so bright. And maybe this will be my segue to get out of here. I got to put on these glasses because the future's so bright. Raptors freak out, looking Parliament, Funkadelic like George Clinton would. Bootsy Collins, flashlight, neon light, red light, spotlight. Now I lay me down to sleep.